deserve. Most homeowners get their cash in less than 2 weeks, and most don't even need an appraisal. Do the smart thing. Stop paying insane rates on those credit cards. Wipe them all out. Get a lower mortgage rate. Get some money for that home improvement project. It all starts by getting in contact with the experts at this, Loan Pronto. LoanPronto.com or call 919-381-1760. LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
It's been said that when someone you love has Parkinson's, you have Parkinson's. If you have questions, the Parkinson's Foundation has answers. Learn more at parkinson.org or call 1-800-473-4636.
Why'd I go to the doctor? One day at the firehouse, I was so lightheaded I could barely stand. Even my crew noticed. Getting checked out was the right call. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit NoTimeToWait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
I'm attorney Brian Ritchie. Workers' comp can be tricky, but my law firm will be on top of all the complicated paperwork and sneaky deadlines so that all of your I's are dotted and T's are crossed. If you've been hurt on the job, I'm on top of it. Contact us at ritchielaw.com.
Broadcasting live from the Lenovo Studios. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. 99.9 The Fan. The Triangle Sports Leader.
I'm WRAL meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner. Today is a WRAL weather alert day. We'll see scattered showers and thunderstorms through the rest of the afternoon and overnight tonight. A few of those could produce some wind damage and some minor flooding. Definitely warm, a high of 72 this afternoon, and then we'll see temperatures dropping through the 60s, clearing tonight with a low of 47 and sunshine tomorrow with a high of 60.
Weather update brought to you by Newcomb and Company, where your comfort is their business. Visit newcombandcompany.com. 3 o'clock check of your money. Dow Jones down 443 points to 37,871. Market update brought to you by Deep River Sporting Clays and Shooting School. Deep River wants you to come fight the clay invasion. Come shoot down clay targets at Deep River Sporting Clays and Shooting School. Visit deepriversportingclays.com.
Nipples open. Good again. Cooper on the right. He hits a 3. Inside Brown out for flag. Right side 3. Big time. Tugler in on Knipples. Spins goes up. Got it blocked. Guess who? Cooper flag threw it out of bounds. Launches down court for Cooper. And it's deflected. It came to Knipple. Out to Proctor. Deflected. Puts it up at the buzzer. It's no good. And it's Houston.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. I'm Tim Donnelly, Dennis Cox producing the show. If you hear excitement and happiness in my voice, just know I'm faking it as well as I can. As far as cheering on local teams, which I openly do, right? I want the teams closest to us to win darn near every game they play. And if they're playing against each other, we'll be objective about it. As far as rooting for local teams, this was a horrendous weekend. Just bad. Carolina Hurricanes dropped 2, gave up 5 in each. Duke had a collapse that will be talked about for a very long time in the Final Four. And I think that's where we're going to have to start. But before we do, 3:30 today, we will have Monday Soundoff. So start gathering your thoughts, collecting your emotions, and figuring out what you want to talk about. We'll open up the phone lines completely open to you at about 3:30. So we'll give you the phone number and everything else, Easter Automotive Group hotline later on. But the Soundoff should be a fun one today. Duke collapsed. They collapsed. With spot in the national championship on the line, there is no way to sugarcoat it, which is why you just got to kind of rip the Band-Aid off and say it out loud. They collapsed. And everybody has their own view on the collapse, but the collapse is the common part, right? It's funny because of the the job we do here, a lot of people started texting me after the game, and usually in collapses like we watched, right, where you have a big lead and it evaporates and you lose and you feel like you should have won and all these things, there's the moment that you point to, right? A bad loss, a bad missed shot, a bad turnover, a timeout that should have been called, an injury, something. Everybody has their own moment in this one. They were ahead 58-45 with 10 minutes and 31 left. From that point on, Houston went on a 25-9 run. By the way, there was only one field goal scored by Duke over that final 10-31. They were up 14 with 8 minutes and 15 seconds left. They were up 9 with 2 minutes and 15 seconds left. They were up 7 with 1 minute and 15 seconds left. Houston went on a 9-0 run in the final 35 seconds to win the game. Everyone can point to a different one of those spots and say, well, if you catch yourself up 9 with 2:15 left, you shouldn't lose the game. Coaches will all tell you that, right? You should be able to manage the game, make your free throws, make smart decisions, and win the contest. They didn't do it. Credit to Houston, right? Little hat tip. I think, as much of a impressive play by Houston, there were critical errors made by Duke that made it possible. And that's usually how most comebacks are. Jon Scheyer, head coach of Duke, after the game was asked what went wrong down the stretch. This is what he had to say.
Houston's a team that doesn't quit. I mean, they're never going to stop. And so my messaging throughout the whole way with the team was understand this team doesn't go away. So no lead is safe with them. We can talk about not scoring down the stretch, but for me, it's our defense. We gave up 42 points in the second half. That's what carried us in the first half. I thought the last segment to close the half was big. We gave them 4 threes, and then some uncharacteristic plays we probably made. And they hit some really tough shots. So for me, as I reflect in the moment, I look at our defense. And that was disappointing because even if we're not scoring, usually we get stops to get separation.
The blame can go around pretty evenly in this one, and I'll explain why in a second. Maybe outside of Cooper Flagg. Right, when you put up the stats he did, you're the one that made the three. You're the one that blocked the shot. I don't put too much on him, even if that the shot with 10 seconds or less ended up being his and he left it short. But Sion James inbounding, get the ball into somebody who can catch it, hit him in the hands, make smart, decisive decisions. Yikes. Tyrese Proctor missing the front end of a 1-and-1. Yikes. At that point in the game, first of all, if you aren't a great free throw shooter, don't have the ball in your hands. Right? Find somebody who is a great free throw shooter, get the ball in their hands. And if you are going to have the ball in your hands confidently, you have to knock it down. Con Knipple, reverse, right? If you are a 90-plus free throw shooter and you are not running and asking for a handoff, if you are ever considering giving the ball up in those situations, that's something you got to do better at. Come on, Malawash played 21 minutes and had 0 rebounds. He is 7'2". Nobody in the rotation for Houston is taller than 6'8". Yikes. There is enough to spread around. Jon Scheyer, you heard him talk about it right on the defense. Young coach, right? One of those real makes you remember games, right? Oh, you hadn't been actually it happened a few times, right? Oh, you hadn't been playing like a freshman, so we haven't been acting like you're freshman. Turns out you're freshman, right? You're a coach who's in his 3rd year as head coach and had no previous head coaching experience when you took the job. You hadn't been coaching that way, so we hadn't been treating you that way. But there's the reminder right there. I'm going to go back just a little bit here. ACC tournament, Charlotte, right after Duke's first game, which, by the way, was also Jon Scheyer's first game without his right-hand man, Jay Lucas. Mm-hmm. Jay Lucas, an assistant coach, took the Miami head coaching job right after the regular season, left to go start his Miami responsibilities. He was not on the bench for his first game. So after they first of all won their first game, but it was a chaotic game. Remember, Cooper Flagg got hurt. Malik Brown got hurt.
78-71 against Georgia Tech.
The first half was like a football game. It was so physical. It was very, very strange. I asked him in the post-game scrum, about handling all that unusualness without Jay Lucas. And one of the things that stood out to me was Jon Scheyer saying, I still have to coach with my instincts. And that triggered so much this year. Remember when he randomly threw a zone out, right? And they hadn't practiced it. Remember when, now I'm just doing the Remember When game. Remember when Isaiah Evans wasn't in the rotation at all? He was getting DNP, did not play, coach's decisions. And then as the season went along, he was given more and more and more of a role. I think, for the most part this season, Jon Scheyer did an unbelievable job in most situations trusting his instincts, right up until the second half of that loss against Houston over the weekend. That right there is where I went, that didn't feel like he was coaching with instincts. That felt like he was coaching conservatively. He was locked in to dance with who brought you, right? Sion James wasn't having a good day. Kamon Malawash wasn't having a good day. Now, I know those are guys that were massively important to your season this year, but if they're not having a good day, take them out of the game and put someone else in who's having a good day. Caleb Foster was great combative energy in the first half, didn't play enough in the second half. Patrick Gongba has been really, really good, didn't play enough in the second half. Down the stretch, or actually I'll go for first half. First half, Jon Scheyer, I talked about it on Friday. The average height of Houston's contributors was a little more than 3 inches shorter than the average height of Duke's contributors. So I was like, maybe you can use the size to your advantage, right? Maybe go down low. First half, Jon Scheyer threw a small ball lineup out there. He had Malawash, Flag, and Gongba on the bench, and they went on a run. And I went, that's pulling the right strings.
Mm-hmm.
Second half, it was as if the first half didn't exist. Right? It was as if he didn't just see something work and it didn't go back that way. Now, here's where it's like young coach. Takes a lot of confidence to do something non-traditional in the second half of a game you're winning in the Final Four. Takes a lot to take the veteran off the ball. Takes a lot to take your normal inbounder and say, you're not inbounding it here. You might not even be in the game. Takes a lot, right? You got to be wildly confident. You got to wildly trust your instincts, and I think he did that up until got hairy against Houston. And that's a lesson learned. You got to wear that. You got to answer for it. You got to take, whatever your share of the blame pie is. You got to eat that, and then you have to, kind of be wildly empowered in the future. It was funny because the other thing that was a big topic of conversation for Duke going into the Final Four was this transition of power from Coach K to Jon Scheyer. And so I'm sitting there, and obviously adrenaline running after the game, right? Just because it's Final Four and it was a close game and all that. I'm the only one awake in my house, and I'm on social media. And somebody showed the Gordon Hayward missed half-court shot for Duke's title a handful of years ago, over Butler. And the comment said, has anybody ever understood why he missed this on purpose? Because if you don't remember, in that game, they were up 2, Duke was, and Brian Zubac was at the free throw line, and he had one more free throw coming, and he intentionally missed it. And the question was, you make that shot, even if they get to, set up a play, or even if, they get to take the ball inbounds, you're up 3. Worst case scenario, you're going to overtime. Why would you intentionally miss that? And I was like, that's a great question. Start doing some poking around. You see some of the reports. There was a coaching something or another, a talk that Coach K did soon after that. He said, none of my assistants agreed with me. He said, I had to miss it because I was looking at the momentum. I didn't want to go to overtime with them. I thought they were building momentum and we were waning, and this was our chance to win it and end it now. And I would have rather been a half-court heave than something they had set up for a 3 for – And I thought that's where Jon Scheyer has to get, to where 4 seconds left or whatever it was in the national championship game, all of his assistants are saying, I disagree with you, and you trust your instincts enough to make the move. I felt he was almost coaching in a way that he could easily explain in the second half, when all season he had been, let's let Foster in, right? All season it's been, we're going well with so-and-so on the bench. Let's let them off, like let's throw a zone at him. It's been very whatever he feels necessary. Second half, I think I could have coached it. right? We're going to take the same 5 that have been out there most of the game, and we're going to let them in there. And what inbound play should we run? Our inbound play, the one we always do. That's a brutal way to be at that point in the game. And you're going to have to wear that one. You'll see it in your sleep for a long time. Long time. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. That wasn't the only bummer of the weekend. The bummer right before that was the Canes loss to the Bruins. And the bummer the night before that was the Canes lost to Detroit. Come on. That was a rough one. We'll talk Canes dropping games coming up next.
Listen to 99.9 The Fan every afternoon during the Drive for your chance to see the Storm surge in person. It's our annual 10K playoff payout. Try your luck at playoff tickets by finding the golden puck and take your ultimate slap shot at $10,000. Listen for the 10K playoff payout. And remember, with Ford F-150 on your team, it's game on. See your Carolina Ford dealer today.
Welcome to Take 5 Oil Change.
Hey, which way is your waiting room?
Oh, you can stay in your car. It only takes 10 minutes.
I can stay in? Get out. I better find a good playlist to listen to while I wait. EDM? Nah. Oh, what about something classical? Nah. You got any suggestions?
Dad rock?
Now you speaking my language.
Take 5. The stay in your car 10-minute oil change.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with a Capital One Saver card, so let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver card is at table 27, and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for
Marcy
details.
Bailey from Bailey's Fine Jewelry, here to share why Bailey's is consistently voted best place to buy your diamond. First off, our amazing selection of diamonds is unparalleled. We also have hundreds of the most coveted engagement ring styles to fit any budget. You can also utilize our vast selection of loose diamond inventory and custom workshop to create your dream ring. And if that's not enough, we also offer an unprecedented lifetime diamond guarantee. I invite you to come see for yourself. Visit us today in-store or at baileybox.com.
Hello, Scott Forbes, head baseball coach, University of North Carolina. When it comes to choosing a dealership, I stick with Wilkinson, Chevrolet, Cadillac, Buick, GMC. Growing up in Sanford, I've been fortunate to be lifelong friends with Will Wilkinson. My family and I have been buying and having our vehicles serviced at Wilkinson for many, many years. Great service, competitive prices, and most importantly, a place you can trust. Go where I go. Go see my longtime friend Will Wilkinson at Wilkinson, Chevrolet, Cadillac, Buick, GMC.
Need CPAP supplies fast? I'm Brandon Giggling, president of Parkway Sleep Health Centers, and we are the Triangle's top sleep provider, offering quick access to the equipment you need for better sleep. Get the right supplies right when you need them. With over 20 years of experience, our expert team is here to help you sleep better, sooner.
Discover why so many trust Parkway Sleep Health Centers for better sleep. Visit parkwaysleep.com now and start your journey to a healthier night's sleep. Parkway Sleep Health Centers. Sound sleep. Sound health.
Cool cars, cool people, good times. America's favorite car show is back. The Good Guys 10th Griot's Garage North Carolina Nationals presented by Tremec. April 18th and 19th at the North Carolina State Fairgrounds in Raleigh. Cruise on out and see over 1,500 of the Southeast's finest hot rods, muscle cars, and trick trucks. Autocross racing, a Saturday night demolition derby, vendor midway, live entertainment, and more. April 18th and 19th at the North Carolina State Fairgrounds. Details at good-guys.com.
Progressive knows there are some surprisingly expensive things in life, like frames, because you found a classic 70s concert poster. But when you went to get it framed, you realized the frame will cost about 4 times the amount of the poster, which is actually absurd because no one will be looking at the frame, and if they are, then you severely overestimated how cool this poster is. But then you remember by switching your home and auto to Progressive, you could save hundreds and put it towards a classic 70s concert poster in an absurdly overpriced frame. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
Keeping your engines healthy means protecting them in season and out. Experts trust Stable to do that. And third-party testing confirms it. Stable is the industry leader in preventing fuel-related issues, no matter if you use it in your car, boat, or outdoor power equipment. in season or out, at every fill up or when you store. Start with Stable.
Back up for Gostisbehere. Working around. Morrow with a chance. Robida! He scores! Justin Robida! His first NHL goal! The Canes break the shutout. And for Robida, he'll keep that one forever.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. That's Dennis working hard to find a highlight for the Canes.
Hey, props to Justin Robida, though. First career goal.
Yeah. What, he played 2 games, got an assist and a goal?
Yep.
That's good work. That's good work for Justin Robida. And wouldn't it be nice if we could just end it there and go, all right, Canes, and then they also play tomorrow and not talk about the rest of it?
Back at it.
Not exactly peaking or heading in the right direction as they move towards the postseason over the last 4 or 5 games. 2 losses over the weekend. At Detroit was a 5-2 loss. At Boston, a 5-1 loss. Like I said, not great. And if you dive, just surface level stats, no power play goals, that's something that had been moving in the right direction and then obviously took a step back. No goals for Aho and Jarvis, but 2 games, too small a sample size to get upset with that. No points at all for Taylor Hall, same thing. The goalies are the goalies, and we'll get to that. The injuries are piling up a little bit, which I think is not what you want at this time of year. Kokiniemi kind of added to the mix with some boo-boos and some owies, some kinds of bumps or bruises that we won't get a ton of information on. But the overall vibe of the so far 2-game road trip for the Canes is not great. Not great. Rod Brindamore spoke to the media today, and let's jump to the second clip here, Dennis. He summed up the 2 games that were both lost on the road.
We haven't played actually poorly on the road. Like, I look at those last 2 games, I didn't mind them at all. We be honest, a couple bad goals on both those games, and the game might be a little different, but I didn't mind how we played. So we definitely got to be sharper than we have been on the road as a whole. But I haven't really can say, our game's so much worse on the road. I don't find that.
I agree, right? And sometimes just because they've won so many darn games at home, it like by contrast appears as if they are playing really, really poorly on the road. The past 2 games, I'd say there's been some really poor play, but overall on the road, I'm not looking at them with any kind of anger. I will say that the juggling of lineups with all the injuries in and out is fascinating, yet also not ideal. Rod Brindamore again today talked about that exact thing, juggling the lineups with the postseason coming up.
Just got to try to stay focused, and we've got a lot of guys out of the lineup. That's not ideal either, but it's I don't know what the lineup's going to be tomorrow. So you can ask me. I don't know who's available yet. So it's tough when there's all that going on. But and we put ourselves in a good spot that inevitably it's not going to matter, right? We're going to get to the next phase. So it's just trying to stay focused and get healthy.
It's so funny how life happens. And by the way, some were saying this extremely loudly, and it was and is a good point. But we talk about all these decisions that the Canes are going to have to make when it comes to lines, who's skating with who, and these 2 are playing well together, who's going to be the third. And then all it takes is one awkward check into the boards, or one, I didn't stretch well enough and I felt something tweak. All it takes is something like that. And not that the questions are answered for you, but the questions change, right? The questions can be completely different. Right, we knew Carrier coming back, and by the way, he did skate with the team non-contact jersey this morning at practice. Not to say he'll be back, but on the way. We knew Carrier coming back could throw off the lines. Kokiniemi, though, if he misses any significant portion of time, all of a sudden that changes everything. And the question isn't about who's the healthy scratch. It's first who's playing center. Right? It becomes a completely different question. Completely different. By the way, I did bring it up here in my notes. The Canes at home, talking about, are they playing better or worse on the road? At home, they are 38-1, which is absurd. On the road, they are 16-18-3. So they're actually below 500 on the road and 38-1 at home. That's dramatic, right? And even if it doesn't appear as, they're not necessarily playing that much worse on the road, it's like, part of the proof is in the pudding. You want a reason to keep the pedal to the floor to get home ice as long as you possibly can
for sure.
in the postseason. There it is right there. There it is right there. So injuries, that's one story. That's something that's not ideal. The other, the goalies. Because right, the first loss of the weekend, that's on Kochetkov, meaning he was in net. Second loss of the weekend, Freddie was in net. Kochetkov has allowed 18 goals in his last 4 starts. That's enough to me where the context becomes less important. Because as a fan does, and I am a fan of the Canes, during that loss on whatever it was, Friday, I tweeted out like, man, it's when it rains, it pours for Kochetkov. And there were many fans saying, well, it's not like the guys in front of him are playing great tonight. And that's true, right? That's true. Not all of those, the most recent goals on Kochetkov are considered softies. But 18 in 4 starts is enough to where you get to the point where it's like, well, you got to stop the puck. I'm bail out your teammates, get lucky once, right? Like just flail your arms. You might make 18 goals in 4 games is enough to where, context starts to get thrown out, right? If you want to talk about, it was windy that day, so the pitcher gave up a bunch of home runs because the wind was blowing 30 miles an hour to dead center straight behind the hitter's back. All right. If he gives up, 5 homers a game over 6 games, it's like, well, guess what? I can't turn around and say all of the concern can be attributed to wind. So at a certain point, you got to keep the ball in the park. So Kochetkov, at the very least, didn't right the ship on some struggles he's had recently. And then Freddie, who has been a ton better, and I was trying to explain this to Dennis, completely involuntarily, I'm worried about him now. 5 goals allowed versus the Bruins. First of all, Bruins, not great. 5 goals allowed makes me unnecessarily worried because in the scheme of things, it's one game in the middle of a really strong stretch for Freddie, and I shouldn't be worried. But what's the rom-com saying, right? The heart wants what the heart wants. My nervous system gets nervous for what my nervous system gets nervous for. I can't always control. My logical brain can be sitting up there giving me all the analytics and all the stats of the last 9 starts he's had, and he's been good, and he's been doing this, and he's been doing that. As we get to the postseason, if he has a bad start, my brain can't help but go, whoa, uh-oh. I'm worried about the goalies. Everything else, I trust Rod to sort through. They're going to have new lines, the injuries. They'll deal with, as Rod said, that doesn't matter. The games are going to be here when the games are going to be here. The goaltenders I'm worried about.
That's fair.
And it's
100% fair.
It's the only frustrating part about it is, name a postseason in the last 5 years we haven't been worried about the goaltenders. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. If you want to sound off on the Canes, you have your opportunity to do so. If you want to sound off on Duke, you have your opportunity to do so, or anything else. Monday Sound Off is up next here on The Drive, which means we open up the phone lines to you. The phone number, 919-860-5326. That's 919-860-5326. Call in with whatever you want to talk about, and we'll hash it out. 919-860-5326. Monday Sound Off coming up next.
John is in a hot tub on his vacation. He earned 20,000 points by spending $2,000 with his Navy Federal Credit Union More Rewards card. To be clear, you don't have to vacation in a hot tub to redeem this offer. But John did, because the bubbles make him happy. Right now, you can earn 20,000 points when you spend $2,000 in the first 90 days. Offer ends January 1st, 2026. Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission. Navy Federal is insured by NCUA. Visit NavyFederal.org for details.
Hey, this is Luke with Newcomb & Company. We are a residential, commercial, plumbing, HVAC company who's been serving the community for over 70 years. Honesty is the biggest policy around here. We take pride in everything we do, anything we touch. We're not one of those companies that come in, throw it in, and then you can't get a hold of them again. We're there with you, hand in hand, Here at Newcomb & Company, what stands apart from other companies is we actually do more than just AC and heat pumps. We do boilers, geothermals, furnaces, radiant floor, anything that is odds and ends that nobody else can touch is what we thrive on. At Newcomb & Company, we do same-day service. That's also another thing that helps us stand apart from other places is we do same-day service because we have enough professionals to get out to these houses to solve what the problems are. And we're on 24/7 on emergency basis, weekends, nights, holidays, you name it, we're there. If you ever need us, give us a call. Visit our website at newcombandcompany.com. As you always hear us say, your comfort is our business.
You know what's better than a limited time deal? An unlimited time deal. That's why the Wendy's $5 Biggie Bag with a Junior Bacon Cheeseburger, 4-piece nugs, Junior Hot and Crispy Fries, and small soft drink is available all the time. Because the best time for fresh, never frozen beef and Applewood smoked bacon is all the time. Duh. I feel like I'm repeating myself a lot. For the best deal of all time, gotta be Wendy's.
Unlimited time does not mean forever. U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska, Hawaii, and California and via third-party delivery. Fresh beef available in the contiguous U.S., Alaska, and Canada.
Joint pain in your knees, shoulders, or lower back. It can stop you in your tracks. At DaVita Med Spa and Wellness, we offer a revolutionary course of treatment that can eliminate your joint pain and have you back to your old self in no time. Our regenerative therapies actually help repair damaged tissue to eliminate the pain without risky invasive surgery. If you suffer with joint pain and have been told your only options are medications, steroid injections, or surgery, DaVita Med Spa and Wellness offers non-surgical solutions using your body's own cells with minimal downtime and long-lasting results. Experience personalized, compassionate medical care at its best. Call our office now and see how you can get real, long-lasting relief from joint pain through regenerative medicine and the medical experts at DaVita Med Spa and Wellness, spelled DVIDA. Call 984-333-1313. That's 984-333-1313. 984-333-1313.
Organize easy. Organize tough. Customize your work truck or van with upfit solutions from Van Products. Steel and aluminum shelving, toolboxes, data files, cabinets, drawers, conduit carriers, ladder racks, everything safe and secure. Everything built as unbreakable as you by Adrian Steel. Backed by the best warranty in the business. 3 years, 36,000 miles. Everything custom installed by Van Products so you know it's done right. From a single work rig to a fleet, choose custom installed upfit solutions from Van Products.
If you're 55 and up, T-Mobile has plans built just for you. 2 lines of unlimited for just $30 a line. That's a 45% savings compared to Verizon and AT&T. But don't just take our word for it.
It's not just the savings that are great with our T-Mobile plan. There's all this value from all these other things that T-Mobile offers.
T-Mobile has been such a savings for us.
We love it.
Switch today and get 2 free 5G phones like the Motorola Edge with Turbo Power charging that gives you power for the day in just 15 minutes. And customers 55 and up can get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for only $30 a line. Go to T-Mobile.com/choice55 to learn more. With 24 monthly bill credits and 2 new lines with autopay for well-qualified customers plus taxes, fees, and $35 per line connection charge. Credits end and balance due if you pay off early or cancel. Contact us plus $5 per line without autopay. Debit or bank account required. 45% off 2 lines versus AT&T Starter and Verizon Welcome. Plan benefits vary. See details at T-Mobile.com. Motorola Edge requires 68-watt charger. Charger sold separately. Actual performance will vary based on usage and configuration.
Lowe's knows that your deadlines don't change, even when your job does. But with Lowe's Buy Online, Pick Up in Store, we'll help you adjust on the fly. And when you absolutely can't leave the project, we can deliver to your job site as soon as same day. Lowe's knows pros. We help, you save. Valid on eligible in-stock orders and select zip codes placed by 2 p.m. for same-day delivery by 8 p.m. Subject to driver availability. Fees vary based on purchase. More terms apply. See Lowe's.com/same-day delivery for details.
Deep River wants you to come fight the clay invasion. Come shoot down clay targets at Deep River Sporting Clays and Shooting School. Visit deepriversportingclays.com.
Malowacz got one hand on the rebound. It's loose. Cooper dug it out. Goes back up. Oh! He reversed it home! And he's got a free throw coming as well. How did he find the angle?
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Get back, get back. How about this? It's back. It's back. Y'all do know me like that. Listen to 99.9 The Fan every afternoon today. including today, I should say, around 4, so we're about a half hour away, for your chance to see the Storm Surge in person. It's our annual 10K playoff payout where you can try your luck at a pair of Canes playoff tickets by finding the golden puck, and you can take your ultimate slap shot at $10,000. It's all going to happen at Invisalign Arena on April 16th, so listen for the 10K playoff payout this week. Around 4 o'clock is when we'll get you set up on the phones. Thank you to our friends at Carolina Ford Dealers. Talk to them today. The phone lines are open. Heister Automotive Group hotline for a Monday sound off. I encourage you to call in. Duke takes, Canes takes, whatever you want to talk about. 919-860-5326, meaning we're not just limited to those two things. Again, the phone number, 919-860-5326. Getting on the line quickly today, friend of the show, Micah from Morrisville. And, of course, he wants to talk Carolina Hurricanes. Micah, thank you very much for calling in. What do you want to sound off on when it comes to the Canes?
Thanks for having me on. I have 3 kind of quick points, or pretty quick points.
All right, I like the outline.
2 of them are negative and 1's positive.
Okay.
The first one, I'll say, you guys kind of mentioned it, but I'm super worried about the goalies in general. But Freddie Anderson at the top of that, like, he's proven year after year that he doesn't have a save in him in the playoffs. I'm passionate about that. We're not confident when he's in goal. Like, he's Chris Kreider. You could just play that on replay. He's literally the reason we lost against the Rangers. Probably the past 2 years. But, yeah, I'm terrified about that. I don't know if he could buy a save. And then second, I'm pretty scared about the KK injury, honestly. I'm speculating, and I hope it's not serious, and obviously Rod doesn't say anything, but if it is serious and it is his knee and he's not playing in the playoffs, that is a huge, brutal loss that all the people that hate on KK are going to realize how big of a loss it is.
Okay.
And then the last one is, this is kind of positive. I think the Devils are just not good without Jack Hughes. Nico Heischer's like really good, obviously, and yeah, they're probably going to bully us around a little bit physically, but they're not going to do anything. So there's an easy first-round win without Jack Hughes, but we're definitely going to need to figure out KK's knee and figure out the goal.
All right.
Saving a goal. Yeah.
Mike, I appreciate it. There's one specific thing I want to respond to there, but as always, Micah, you know you can call in anytime. Everybody else, keep calling in, 919-860-5326. With Kotkaniemi's injury, and again, we don't have much update on there as far as details, if you look at the players that have been dealing with injuries recently, you might as well just ask who are the heaviest people on the team. It's Carrier, it's Svech, it's Stahl, it's Kotkaniemi. These are the weight you throw around. So that's important, right? If you think of it like baseball. If you have like one outfielder hurt, one infielder hurt, one pitcher, and one whatever, okay, you can usually replace those guys because you have at least one good backup at each spot. I mean, the Canes can't have 5 heavy forwards that are able to step up into those roles. It just becomes difficult. Heister Automotive Group hotline, 919-860-5326 for your Monday sound off, open for all your takes. We have Dean on the coast. He's normally from Rocky Mount. Guess he's traveling today. Dean, thank you for calling in. Go ahead and sound off.
So I am in fact traveling. Let me get my 30 for 30 voice. What if I told you Will Wade in 3 weeks had more 5-stars than Kevin Keith in 8 years? Huge commitment for Will Wade this year being Matthew Abel yesterday. Like I told y'all, Will Wade is going to be a legend, and people want to keep doubting, but slowly but surely they're finding out the truth. Another thing, I think the Canes will totally be fine. And the Carolina Panthers are signing basketball players. You'd think they were at Triangle College.
All right.
Have a good one, Tim.
I appreciate it. First of all, you're darn right. I mean, Will Wade did get a higher-ranked recruit than anyone in the Kevin Keats era in the first month he's been on campus. So that is something to get excited about if you're NC State. Panthers did sign a basketball player from Coastal. So it's Dean's bringing like fun facts, but also they are facts. They're not just fun facts. They are facts. Back to the call-in line. Heister Automotive Group hotline, 919-860-5326. You can sound off or whatever you want to sound off on. Liam and Carey wants to sound off on Duke. Liam, thank you very much for calling in. Go ahead and sound off.
Well, thanks for taking my call.
Mhm.
And I wanted to say, like, toward the end of the game when Houston was coming back, it seemed like Duke was getting, like, under pressure. It seemed like that they were making bad decisions under pressure.
Mhm.
So maybe Coach Shire should have told them to keep calm, because when Tyrese shot that free throw, it seemed like he was kind of nervous.
I get that. First of all, appreciate the call, and it's a great point. I think a lot of people are going to be making it. I don't know if you've ever had somebody who's nervous, but not always telling them, "Hey, keep calm." Sometimes that riles up the nerves a little bit more, doesn't it?
Just got to keep our composure.
Listen, Liam, I appreciate the call, and I'll actually build off that a little bit. Call back in anytime. Great call. If you look at the 4 losses for Duke this year, and there were only 4, all 4 of them, I believe, were a 2-point or less game with 15 seconds or left. For 15 seconds or less left in the game. So, A, they didn't have a ton of experience in those situations, and B, maybe there was a little bit of, like, the freshmen or the new players playing together, under the biggest pressure, didn't work out as well. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. That's one of those things that, like, identifying the problem is so much easier than solving the problem. Like, if you're a coach, you're like, all right, we're a little worked up. We're a little nervous. Let me call a timeout. And then as they're coming over, it's like, how do you calm them down? Listen, guys, we just need to chill out. Everybody, relax. It's probably not going to do the job, right? That's where, like, the Joe Montana, John Candy story is so perfect, right? You gotta break the tension with something, but it's much easier said than done.
It's like Will Ferrell in Old School, just slamming a chair against the locker. Got to keep our composure.
Yeah, It's hard, and I imagine it's a bit like a slow motion car accident where the coach sees it happening and is just like, "No,
can't stop this."
What are you gonna do? Thank you for the call once again. Heaster Automotive Group hotline is open for a Monday sound off. Next up, we have Edward and Wendell. Edward and Wendell wants to sound off on the Canes. Edward, go ahead and sound off. Thanks for calling.
I think for the Canes, our biggest problem is goaltending right now, and special teams it depends on the night for special teams. And the Caps game was good. Freddie had some great saves, and our special teams was good, as I know they scored from both sides, I think. And then Jarvis has been great on the penalty kill with a couple of shorties.
Very, very good.
And I think that goaltending is a step up because it is day-to-day, where if we have Freddie in that, at this point it is really hard for us to not have good goaltending. And with Kuznetsov, it's like what type of night how did you sleep last night? Did you sleep on your left arm or your right arm?
Edward, I appreciate it. I always enjoy your calls. Thanks for calling in. I think the goalie you were thinking of there was Kochetkov, not Kuznetsov. But I think we all got the point. So thank you for calling in. I did see, and this is the hard-hitting reporting that came out of morning practice for the Canes. Kochetkov tried new gear, went with a new brand of pads, which does kind of strike me as he's just trying to change the juju, right? Just trying to change the vibes. Let me try something new, see if this was the issue. When I play golf, sometimes I do it with sunglasses. My sunglasses come on and off 100 times during a golf round. Why? Because I just want to, all right, well, I got to change something. Let me take the sunglasses off. All right, another shank. All right, let me put the sunglasses back on. Sometimes you just got to, sleep on the right side, left side. Just try something different, see if it works. Heaster Automotive Group hotline open for your sound offs, 919-860-5326. Paul in Apex has been waiting patiently to sound off on the Canes. Many of you, feel free to call in, 919-860-5326. Paul, thank you for calling in. What do you want to sound off on when it comes to the Carolina Hurricanes?
Hey, Tim. Thanks for taking my call. Yeah, I was going to sound off and say that I just think the goaltending's been really shaky lately. I mean, both guys have those games where they can just be completely lights out and dynamite, and then just have those games where they can just let in a bunch of soft goals and just look like they didn't even show up. And to me, like, that's a big problem at this time of year, because if this keeps up, I know that everyone's saying that we're probably favored to beat New Jersey first round, but if the goaltending gets this bad and keeps getting worse, it's going to be a quick first round exit, and it'll be the same issues as every postseason.
All right, appreciate the call. Not as confident against the Devils as some other callers. Thank you very much for calling in.
Can I ask a caller here?
Actually, go ahead. Yeah, absolutely.
One
little follow up here.
All right, Paul. If you had to pick a goalie to start Game 1, who you going with?
I'd probably say Frederik Andersen, because I know he did have that one bad outing in Boston, but recently before that, he's actually been pretty solid.
Oh, I would say above pretty solid
Kochetkov.
over the last 8 or 9 games. Kochetkov last 4 has really been the floodgates opening up. Thank you very much for calling in. Here's the hard part. Streaky goaltending is a gift and a curse, right? What was it? During that 8-game win streak they had, or was it no, it was 8 games, right? They went 8 games without giving up 2 or more goals in any game. If you do that starting, halfway through the conference championship, then your streaky goaltenders can win you a cup. The issue is, if you have a streak like Kochetkov's on right now, and you go 3 games without really being able to do much, you could lose to the Devils. Something, it's that dramatic. So, timing a streak is wildly important. I also, and I hate to say this because I'm on record as Team Kochetkov for a long time. I think the right answer is, if the postseason started today, you roll Freddie Andersen out there in net. It's doesn't have to be fun, but I think that's the correct answer.
I mean, unless Kochetkov gets hot here over his last 3 starts or so, and it's like, okay, this dude's playing lights out, he's locked in, then you may roll with it, knowing that, hey, Freddie's solid, we can always go to him if the wheels fall off. But yeah, I'm with you right now. That's kind of what you have to go with.
I mean, right before this 4-game streak that Kochetkov's on, where he gave up 18 goals in 4 games, he had a shutout. So it's not that long into the past that he was actually playing pretty well. But that I get, that and whatever will buy you, that's not worth a ton.
But before the loss against Boston, I should say, Freddie Andersen in his previous 7 starts was 7-0, had a save percentage of .942, and did not allow more than 2 goals in any of those games.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
So, again, maybe the Boston game is just a blip. Hey, got the bad one, got it out of the way, get back to being what you were before, then that's fine.
Tell that to my subconscious mind, Dennis.
I'm trying to tell it to my subconscious mind when I try and tell it to you directly.
I mean, I get facts and everything makes some people feel better, and I try to make that me, but also gut feelings are terrifying in a lot of these cases. Heaster Automotive Group hotline is open for a Monday Soundoff, 919-860-5326. Whatever you want to talk about, our phone lines are open at your disposal, 919-860-5326. Tyler in Raleigh is next up here for a Monday Soundoff, wants to sound off on the Duke Blue Devils. Tyler, thank you very much for calling in. Go ahead and sound off.
Ooh, just breathing a sigh of relief, Tim. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Can I assume you are a fan of the not Duke Blue Devils?
Oh, you know it. Of course. especially this weekend.
All right, go ahead and give us the reaction. Go ahead.
Well, what you don't do in the Final Four with a 14-point lead and 6 minutes left is try to run out the clock. We hadn't seen anything like that all year. I think that kind of explains them just kind of choking. I haven't heard that word enough today in this broadcast either, by the way.
Collapse, choke. I mean, they're the same thing.
Say it again, Tim. Choke. So the other good thing about being a Carolina fan this weekend is that Lil Wayne had his arms strapped around Bill, and Lil Wayne wore a Canes jersey to Dreamville, so that was cool.
All right, I
can confirm.
I appreciate the call. So we have a Tar Heels fan here. How's the portal going? How's your reaction to Henry Vesar, and still looking for a point guard out there in the portal for your Tar Heels?
He hung up.
Oh, he's gone. I am fascinated. By the way, Duke lost, they collapsed, they choke, whatever you want to call it. UNC fans, take your victory laps, right? Like it's a rivalry, but also glass house a few times, right? Everything, like if you want to talk about the embarrassment of the loss, go nuts, right? They had this lead, they had this player, they had this, and they didn't win. Go crazy. But I would stop short of saying, like, this team stinks, this team's overrated. I knew they were no good, because they did beat you 3 times. So there's I think trash talk can be done with a little bit more skill, is what I'm saying. I love trash talk, and I love that UNC fans were enjoying Duke's loss because it's a rivalry. That's what they should be doing. But I do think sometimes you end up insulting yourself a little bit it's like, wait a second. But so, talk about the collapse and everything. Maybe stand short of like, this team isn't even that good, because it's like, wait a second.
Well, in that case, then what were you?
Yeah, like you're a couple steps below.
I always say this when it comes to trash talking teams, like especially when you see your rival playing in a Final Four or something like that. It's like, don't forget where you were when you were watching that game.
Do you know what is the move if you're a UNC fan? By the way, Heister Automotive Group hotline, Monday Soundoff, open, 919-860-5326. The move if you're UNC, just make it all about the most recent national champion. Right? I don't care how good you've been. I don't care about this. And which, by the way, means you do have to kind of move on a little bit from the Final Four in 2022 and just make it all about the most recent national champion. Because, there's national champions are very, very much kind of like bulletproof. Like there's very little you can say when you hoist the final trophy. And UNC has had the most recent of the rivalry. That's where I would live if I were you, talking trash. Ryan in Oxford on the Heister Automotive Group hotline, which is open for all of your calls, 919-860-5326. This is an unusual one, Ryan. We don't get this one too often. He wants to sound off on the Cleveland Guardians. Ryan from Oxford, go ahead and sound off. Is Ryan there? There you are.
I'm here.
There you are, Ryan. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I'm a big Cleveland fan. Born, raised Cleveland. I'm from Ohio, but I moved here because of active duty a couple years ago. But I just want to say appreciate that. This is by far been the worst start I've ever seen in my Cleveland baseball team. The worst start I have ever seen. Clase's washed. We don't have a bullpen. I mean, we got J-Ram. That's about it. But to be honest with you, this is horrible. Like, this is the worst start I've ever seen. And on top of that, we have the home opener tomorrow. If we don't win this against the White Sox, I'm going to be so mad.
I cannot say that I have watched too much Cleveland Guardians baseball, but if misery loves company or you want to have it all be relative, go check out the Atlanta Braves start, and you might feel a little bit better about the way the Guardians have started.
I don't know about that one. The Braves have a World Series. We don't.
And I just made a whole point about going to the last champion. So, Ryan, I feel for you. And that's about all I got for you. Hopefully it gets better. Appreciate it, though.
Go Guards.
There you go. Go Guards. 919-860-5326, Heister Automotive Group hotline, available for you. We have Ethan in Wendell, wants to sound off on Duke, and more specifically wants to respond to Tyler, an earlier caller. Tyler was, let's just say, a UNC fan that was celebrating a bit in Duke's misery. Ethan, thank you very much for calling in. Go ahead and sound off.
Hey, what's up, guys? Big fan of the show. I hope Tyler's still listening, because I just want him to know that we went into the Dean Smith Center, wiped the floor with them. Y'all came to Cameron Indoor, wiped the floor with y'all. Played y'all in the ACC not the ACC championship, the ACC tournament, wiped the floor with y'all. I don't know where these UNC fans get off, because I got a bunch of UNC fans in my family, my friends. It's just, I mean, I don't get it, man, personally.
Well, you know what? This is secondary, but I have a tiny bit of breaking news here that you can wave in the face of your UNC fans.
Is it the Boozer Twins?
That's a good one. Ian Jackson, according to 247 Sports, has entered the transfer portal. Multiple sources confirmed on Monday. Ian Jackson, one of the top 10 recruits in the freshman class, had a streak where I think he went 6 games scoring 20 or more. So they're really looking for guard help out there. And if you need a bounce back to your UNC fans, you can just talk about, Elliot Cadeau and now Ian Jackson hitting the transfer portal. There you go, Ethan. Appreciate the call.
At the end of the day, they got to wear that ugly-ass blue. So.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of trash talk. If you got rivalry trash talk, go nuts. Sean in Durham, a UNC fan, is next up on the call-in line, wants to sound off on Duke. So we'll see how this goes. Sean, thank you very much for calling in. What do you want to sound off on?
Hey, that Ian Jackson news is sad. But as a Tar Heel,
in Durham.
That is I'm just going to say this is a brutal time to call in and you get some breaking news about one of your players hitting the transfer portal while you're sitting on hold to come on the show. So you're in a tough spot here, but go ahead and continue nonetheless.
Yeah, as a Tar Heel in Durham, I want to respond to what you said about why the rivalry matters and is so great. The best thing about that loss was that every Carolina fan knew how good that Duke team was. I was like 10 years old in 99 when they were a lock to beat Connecticut. My mom recorded the thing on a VHS. I watched it the next morning. That is other than us beating them in the Final Four, that is the other sweetest Duke loss. And it's precisely because those two teams, this year's team and that 99 team, are as good of basketball teams that have ever existed. And when they don't seal the deal, it is so sweet. There isn't anything better other than winning yourself.
There it is. Appreciate the call. And I'll build off of that, but we have a few other callers we want to get to here, so thank you for calling in. I'm sure it feels like you escaped a little bit, right? It's like, oh, they're good. They're probably going to win. And then when they don't, it's like, ooh, right? You get that adrenaline rush of having gotten away with something. If you're a UNC fan, that's rightfully so. Tom and Creedmoor, NC State football is the topic I have for you here on a Monday Sound Off. Tom and Creedmoor, what do you want to sound off on when it comes to the Wolfpack football squad?
Hey, Tim, how you doing?
Doing well. Looking forward to hearing what you have to say.
Okay. I want to know if you heard how spring practice went, and what are we going to see different from the new offensive and defensive coordinator, and if there's any position changes made.
All right, I'll answer that question as quickly as I can here. Dave Doran's been wildly secretive with spring practice. It's fascinating. NC State's campus to me with Will Wade and Dave Doran now, it's like, I'm not saying they're two completely different individuals. They're going to be running their programs completely different, where Will Wade is open book and Dave Doran's kind of closing the door. And I'm interested to see how Wolfpack Nation responds to that. Right? Which team do they gravitate towards? Which coach do they gravitate towards? Probably whichever one wins the most. But there's not a lot to report. They blocked it off to the public. The spring game came and went, and nobody saw it. If a tree falls in the woods, that kind of thing. I haven't heard of any position changes. None that I've heard of. Do we want to hit one more here, Dennis? Or do we?
Yeah, we can do one quick one here.
We'll go. Ryan and Creedmoor wants to sound off on sports betting. Interesting to see where this goes. Ryan and Creedmoor, thanks for calling in. You're our last one here, so as quickly as you can, what's your sound off?
Yes, sir. I just want to know what your thoughts are, since pretty much maybe 45, 50% of America's betting now. When is MLB going to bring let Pete Rose get into the Hall of Fame, man? It's redundant to me now. Like, everybody bet. I'm pretty sure every player has their own parlay. So I'm just trying to figure out, do you see them ever letting Pete Rose get into the Hall of Fame?
I don't, and here's why. You're still not allowed to bet on the sport you play, right? And that, to me, is the thing that baseball is so upset with Pete Rose about. And then he was combative about it a long time. He lied for a long time and all those sorts of things. But, Pete Rose bet supposedly, right? Allegedly, well, I don't know if it's proven, right? It's the wording needs to be what the wording needs to be, so I don't get in trouble. It's the betting on games that he was managing, right? Even if you're like, he only bet on his team to win. Well, maybe he exhausted his bullpen in a way that you shouldn't to make sure you won the game. It's really tough. And at this point, it's been combative for so long. People get stubborn. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Thank you very much to everybody that called in there for a Monday Sound Off. We will have to revisit that Ian Jackson news later on in the show. Ian Jackson, guard and UNC, freshman this past year, going into the portal, according to 247 Sports. So he'll immediately become one of the most coveted players in the transfer portal, and UNC has to find a way to fill out that perimeter, specifically ball handler. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan, has our 10K playoff payout coming up shortly. But first, Tim Donnelly here for Miller Lending. Rates go up and down. Mortgage rates, interest rates, they go up and down. And really all you look for from your mortgage lender, your mortgage broker, is a few things. They're going to find you the lowest rate possible, and they can go out to 30 different lenders and find the lowest rate for you right? They're a broker. That's one of the things they can do for you. And whether the rates are high or low, they're going to always give you the best possible terms, including no closing costs. No closing costs, whether rates are high or low. Some others offer no closing costs when rates are low, but then when they're high, all of a sudden that goes away. Miller Lending, always no closing costs. Just because rates are up right now doesn't mean you should be paying down your rate thousands of dollars in closing costs because you want to save right now. No. Get those closing costs, put them at zero. It allows you to be more flexible, is the way I like to say it, and adapt to an ever-changing volatile market, which last week we've learned volatile might be a nice way to say it. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. If you want to call Miller Lending, the number to call is 919-447-3377. That's 919-447-3377, or visit them online at millerlending.com. That's millerlending.com. Miller Lending is an equal housing lender, NMLS number 250-2146. If you want to participate in our annual 10K playoff payout, which is back, by the way, not only do you have to listen to 99.9 every afternoon this week around 4 o'clock, around this time, but you have to be willing to call in. We need caller number 9 right now. We'll have a chance to register. We'll have a chance to qualify as one of our 10K playoff payout contestants. You can try your luck at Canes tickets by finding the golden puck and take your ultimate slap shot at $10,000 this coming April 16th at Invisalign Arena. Listen for the playoff payout, 10K playoff payout, this entire week during the drive, thanks to our friends at Carolina Ford Dealer. And call in right now, 919-860-5326. Caller number 9 gets a chance to qualify, 919-860-5326. Call in right now. That and Football at 4 coming up next.
The Adam Gold Show.
Hey, I know Cooper Flagg didn't win all of the awards. He won the 2 major ones. He got Player of the Year. He got Rookie of the Year. Neither were unanimous, which blows my mind. But he should have won Defensive Player of the Year as well. And John Shire was the Coach of the Year. Yes, I know Duke has all these great players. They were 19-1. They were 28-3. Historical point differential. Come on.
The Adam Gold Show, weekdays starting at noon on 99.9 The Fan.
See if you're a winner every night. Watch live lottery drawings on WRAL TV's 11 o'clock news. That's right. Carolina Pick 3, Carolina Pick 4, and Carolina Cash 5 numbers every night on WRAL TV's 11 o'clock news. See if you're a winner before you go off to bed. Get your lottery numbers live every night.
North Carolina Education Lottery.
Only on WRAL TV's 11 o'clock news.
Now in Sanford, the Chatley Marine Boat Show and Sale featuring Yamaha Wave Runners with giant indoor showrooms and an on-site test lake. Chatley's the choice for your next Yamaha Wave Runner. Find a large selection of Yamaha VX, FX, GP, and Wave Blaster models. With special financing, huge discounts, and immediate delivery available, now is the time to get your new Yamaha Wave Runner at the best price. Hurry on in to the Chatley Marine Boat Show and Sale, going on now in Sanford. ChatleyBoats.com.
A torn ACL, stress fracture, aching back, a hip that's had it, life on hold, and all you want is to get it back. Enter Wake Orthopedics. Our fellowship-trained orthopedists do it all. General, sports, pediatric, joint replacement, fractures, spine, prevention, advanced diagnostics, progressive treatments, minimally invasive procedures, surgeries, and more. Visit wakemed.org/wakeortho and get back your life.
Hey, what do you say? John Forsland here from my friends at Buffalo Brothers. It's hockey season, baby. I live and work on both coasts, and here's the deal. There's nothing like Buffalo Brothers. The best wings on the planet and a great place to watch all the big games. Visit all 5 Triangle locations for great specials, including half-price pizzas Monday through Friday, 4:30 to 6, and $6 Jamesons on Sunday. Dine in, carry out. BuffBrothers.com. Aw, man, now I want wings.
You ever try fixing your car and realize you're missing that one part? Yeah, been there. That's why eBay's my go-to. They've got millions of parts, guaranteed to fit. I'm talking brake pads for when yours have seen one too many miles of stop and go. Oil filters, cause you don't mess around with your engine care. Even got this cold air intake on my watch list. I might just go for it. To keep the ride cool and your DIY streak hot. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things. People. Love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Breaking news, and this one is almost unbelievable.
Yeah, it's all about new customers at Bet365 because they get $150 in bonus bets when they bet $5, win or lose. And even better, bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, and player props.
There you have it. Bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. And see why. It's never ordinary at Bet365. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in North Carolina. Gambling problem? Call 1-877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. T&Cs apply.
I'm attorney Brian Ritchie. Big truck accidents can cause life-changing injuries, and life-changing injuries deserve life-changing money. I know big truck wrecks, and I know how to fight those big insurance companies. If you've been hurt by a big truck, contact us at ritchielaw.com. I'm on top of it.
Broadcasting live from the Lenovo Studios. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. 99.9 The Fan. The Triangle Sports Leader.
I'm WRAL meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner. Scattered rain and thunderstorms for the remainder of the afternoon and evening. Today is a WRAL weather alert day. We have a low risk for wind damage and flooding. Warm out there, 70s this afternoon, low 70s, and then clearing overnight tonight with a low of 47. Sunshine tomorrow, but cooler with a high of 60.
Weather update brought to you by Newcomb & Company, where your comfort is their business. Visit newcombandcompany.com. 4 o'clock check of your money. Dow Jones is down 349 points to 37,965.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. It's back, everybody. All week about this time, you can listen to this show and this station, 99.9 The Fan, for your chance to see the Storm Surge in person. It's our annual 10K playoff payout, where you can try your luck at a pair of Canes playoff tickets by finding the golden puck and have a chance to take your ultimate slap shot at $10,000 at Invisalign Arena on April 16th. We have a caller on the line. This caller, Cole in Raleigh, will have a chance to qualify themselves to be one of our contestants. Cole, are you there?
I'm here, buddy.
All right. I need you to listen carefully. I'm not trying to trick you, but you do have to get this question right, okay?
Okay.
All right. The question is, who is the head coach of the Carolina Hurricanes?
That would be Coach Rod the Bod Brindamore.
That is correct. You are an official contestant for our 10K playoff payout. It is that simple, everybody. Listen, all week about this time, we'll be qualifying a new contestant every day. And I should say, if you've been a contestant in our 10K playoff payout in the past, you are not eligible. So has to be all new contestants. Cole, stay on the line. Dennis has some info he needs to grab from you, but we'll see you at the playoff payout.
Sounds great. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you. And remember, everybody, with Ford F-150 on your team, it's game on. See your Carolina Ford dealer today. Boom. Now let's get into football at 4.
Let's move the chains. Time for football at 4.
Football at 4, we're looking towards the draft. We are in draft month. The 24th, I believe, is the first day of the NFL draft. And if you are the Carolina Panthers, this is not a year where the work is done. This is not a year where you put together your big board, your draft board, and you go, this is the order of the players that we like. This is the positions we're looking for. Let's go hang out. There's not enough time. The top 3 in the draft do seem set, but not even the order is set. Right? It seems like Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter. Cam Ward, quarterback from Miami. Travis Hunter does it all. Corner, wide receiver, probably can, quarterback a little from Colorado. And Abdul Carter, the edge rusher from Penn State. They seem like the top 3 in some order. Beyond that, beyond those top 3, I don't know if there's anyone I would guarantee would go in the top 10. That's how unpredictable the draft is this year. And if you're picking 8th, that means the work is gargantuan. The Saints at pick 9, which is after the Panthers, are now the betting favorite to land Shedeur Sanders, the quarterback from Colorado, Deion's son. Think about that. Think of how much will have to either unpredictably happen or how many conversations will have to take place in order for Shedeur Sanders to even be available at 9. Because 6, 7, 8, including the Panthers at 8, are going to talk to teams that might need a quarterback about giving up some kind of a king's ransom to move up and get him. Mason Graham, the defensive tackle from Michigan, seen once as a guaranteed top 5 pick. He's light. He's not very heavy. Less than 300 pounds at the combine. Will Campbell, seen as one time a very secure, top 6 pick, offensive tackle out of LSU, has short arms apparently. Ashton Genty, he's a running back. Would you guarantee a running back goes top 10? Tet McMillan isn't fast, I guess. The guys that were seen as the guarantees are not. That's how unpredictable this draft is. Or I'll even explain it a little bit better. This is how unpredictable this draft is. Earlier today, we were setting up this segment, and I asked that question. I said, all right, outside of these 3, would you guarantee anyone would go top 10? And Dennis gave me 2 names, right? One of them, I believe, was Mason Graham. The other was Jalen Walker. And I'm not saying this to bash on Dennis because I'm actually closer to his opinion than on the one I'm about to provide. I asked Dennis, and Dennis was just on the phone, so I'll say this again so he knows, and I'm not talking behind his back.
Yeah, I do.
Earlier today, I said outside the top 3, would you guarantee anyone else goes top 10? And one of the names you gave was Mason Graham and Jalen Walker, right?
Yeah, those are the 2 I would be most confident in being top 10, but not 100% sure.
Not 7 minutes later, Paul Ihander, whose office is near ours, yelled out hey, there's a new mock draft from CBS Sports and Ryan Wilson. Jalen Walker's 19th to the Bucks. And
right.
And I'm not knocking you because I'm closer to your opinion than I am Ryan Wilson's opinion. I'm closer to Jalen Walker being a guaranteed top 10 than I am to him falling almost to 20. But it just shows how unpredictable this draft is, right? Not as soon as you mention somebody as a near guaranteed top 10 pick, someone else is going, I think they fall the second round. So what? Rich Cimini, who covers the Jets for ESPN, is reporting that the Jets, who pick 7th, might be open to trading Bryce Hall, their stud running back, if Ashton Genty is available at 7. I don't even know where that makes any bit of sense. If you have the stud running back, why would you use the 7th overall pick on a stud running back just to trade your stud running back? But things are about to get weird. As of this time, actually not, I can tell you exactly when it happened because I was at a birthday party for a kid. So my son was running around. There was a bounce house. It was about maybe 2:30. 2:30, I learned from Dane Brugler, who tweeted it out. I checked my phone for a second. Jalen Milroe, quarterback from Alabama, accepted an invitation to the draft in Green Bay. Prior to that tweet, I wouldn't have expected him to go in the first 2 rounds of the draft. I would have been like, if he's picked mid-3rd, he should probably be like, all right, that's a day 2 pick, way to go. Now, there's all these reports saying he has a first-round draft grade. That's how unpredictable this draft is. I could be at a 4-year-old's birthday party and have a player go from a mid-3rd expectation to maybe late 1st based on who's attending the draft. That's how unpredictable this draft is. They didn't have to play football. They didn't have to run a 40. They didn't have to have a pro day. They don't know any of that. Just, all right, sure, this is a new piece of information. Maybe they'll go to 27th. That's crazy. Now, I say all of that to say this to the Panthers. You can't have the reaction I just had. You're not allowed to throw your arms up and go, that's crazy. You have to have plans. You have to have, all right, Milroe, late 1st, here's how we execute our 2nd-round pick. All right, Shedeur Sanders is available when we're on the clock at 8. Here's how we execute that. All right, nobody we like is available at 8. Here's how we execute that. There's no excuse for being caught off guard this year. Everybody's talking about Shedeur Sanders potentially having an Aaron Rodgers slide. Right? That's what I don't know. Aaron Rodgers slid all the way down into the 20s. Crazier things have happened. I'm like, do you know what didn't happen before the draft when Aaron Rodgers went on his Aaron Rodgers slide? Nobody was talking about Aaron Rodgers going on an Aaron Rodgers slide. right? They weren't saying previous players that had gone on slides. So the Shedeur Sanders deal is not an Aaron Rodgers slide. Do you know why? We're talking about it now.
Yeah.
So there's at least some foresight and some reason to be prepared for it. I'm sure there were picks in the 17s, in the 19s, when Aaron Rodgers was sliding that were just completely caught off guard. He was supposed to be the number 1 pick, right? At worst, like 4th. So or 6th or whatever it was when you watch Aaron Rodgers documentary. There's no way the 19th team was prepared for that. The 19th team should be prepared for it this year because everybody's talking about it being a crazy draft. There's no reason for the Panthers to be surprised by anything. Outside, I would say, of Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, or Abdul Carter being there at 8. That's the only thing you're allowed to be surprised by. Everything else, flip to that page in your draft plan and get started. This is not a year where, like, April 7th, you're like, I don't know, we just got to kind of fine-tune our evaluations, but we're pretty much, hay is in the barn, the work is done. This is a year where you're getting in early, every scout, you're staying late, every scout, all the way up till draft day. And you're prepared to not sleep for those 3 days. I have no idea. Beyond the top 3, and I don't even know the order of the top 3, but beyond the top 3, I have no idea what's happening in this draft. And I do as much preparation as anybody. I pride myself on usually having an idea.
Nobody has an idea.
Every mock has Genty going to the Raiders with 6. I refuse to be surprised if a running back falls to 7th in the draft. I refuse. At this modern time, right? If this were 94, maybe not. But in 2025, if a running back tumbles, I refuse to be shocked.
I've seen multiple mock drafts that come out in the same day that sees Tedero McMillan, the wide receiver from Arizona, going around like 12, and I've seen like 26. Mm-hmm. Nobody knows.
And by the way, when this started a couple months ago, quite a few people had McMillan going to the Panthers at 8.
Yeah.
And the Raiders at 6. Like, it is up and down. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Everybody, tonight we find how many of our brackets settled up. We also, right now, get to find the settling up, the champion of our watch bracket. Tim Donnelly here for Bailey's Fine Jewelry. We set up, right in the middle of bracket chaos, in the middle of all of the madness, a 16-team watch bracket. Some of the most iconic watches in history, which, by the way, are all available at Bailey's Fine Jewelry. The Cartier Tank, the Blanc Pons, the Norcanes, the Rolexes, the Omegas. I'm a big Omega fan. And somehow, even with me making the decisions, an Omega didn't make it into the finals. That's how tough this is. The finals, the Blancpain 50 Fathoms, the original dive watch, up against the Rolex Daytona, definitely the buzziest of the Rolexes. That's the final. That's the matchup for all the marbles. One shining watch face is what we're looking at right now. The 50 Fathoms, I think it's a rightfully earned trip into the finals, but I'm not sure many would have predicted it. The Rolex Daytona, I think everybody would have predicted it. This is a like one of those all-time greats. What's the last undefeated run? Indiana in like 76? I think the Rolex Daytona might be on the undefeated run. Give me the Rolex Daytona to win the whole thing. Analytics loves them. The eye test loves them. The Rolex Daytona and that iconic silhouette and everything else ends up being the winner. Shout out to 50 Fathoms from Blancpain for making it all the way to the final. Shout out to the Tissot. Shout out to the Nomos, the Glashute Originals, all of the participants in our watch bracket. But the last one standing is the Rolex Daytona. And again, if you are interested in trying any of these pre-owned and vintage Rolexes or any of the new models, Bailey's Fine Jewelry, stop by, have them let you try it on. All right, see how it feels. Feel the power. Just make sure they know you heard about it right here on 99.9 The Fan. Again, Bailey's Fine Jewelry, Fox and Bailey Watch Shop at their Village District location in Raleigh. We have the ladder challenge coming up. We have winners and losers and a further dive into Duke and their dive in the second half against Houston. Stick around.
We're in the middle of the madness.
Follow us! Dunk that thing down!
From the first four to the national championship.
Cooper delivers! The lead back to 9!
All the hoops action will be heard here.
What they've done at 18 and 19 years old, I couldn't fathom doing. Just incredible.
The road to San Antonio is driven by WakeMed, Roofworks, Metro Elevator, and Wilkinson Chevrolet Cadillac Buick GMC in Sanford. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports leader.
Hello, I'm John Heister for the Heister Automotive Group. And we're constantly looking for ways to serve you better. One of the ways we do that is with something we call a Go-See. And that's where you select a vehicle from our inventory, and we have thousands, and we get one of our product specialists to bring that vehicle to you at your convenience. How do we do that? Well, it's simple. We have a group of employees that are evaluated based on the number of presentations they do. They're glad to do it. So it's just one more way we get off our keister and bring Heister to you.
Cool cars, cool people, good times. America's favorite car show is back. The Good Guys 10th Griot's Garage North Carolina Nationals presented by Tremec. April 18th and 19th at the North Carolina State Fairgrounds in Raleigh. Cruise on out and see over 1,500 of the Southeast's finest hot rods, muscle cars, and trick trucks. Autocross racing, a Saturday night demolition derby, vendor midway, live entertainment, and more. April 18th and 19th at the North Carolina State Fairgrounds. Details at good-guys.com.
Doesn't the North Carolina Education Lottery Winners Club give the best massages?
I've never felt so relaxed.
Thanks to this month's scratch-offs, this is our life now.
It's like winning again and again and again.
This month's scratch-offs pack over $150 million in total prizes. The Winners Club awaits. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning range from 103.8 to 9.88. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
The North Carolina Courage, the Triangle's Division I professional women's soccer team, is letting the dogs out at First Horizon Stadium in Cary. Watch the Courage play Bay FC on April 19th for Scooby-Doo and Pups at the Pitch, presented by Veterinary Emergency Group. Get match tickets at nccourage.com.
Are you suffering from chronic joint pain or just struggling with daily activities because of discomfort in your knees, back, or other parts of your body? Well, I've got great news. It's called DaVita Med Spa and Wellness, a solution that can help you get back to feeling like yourself again without the risks of invasive surgery or long-term prescription drug use. DaVita Med Spa and Wellness is a regenerative medicine clinic. Their innovative treatment options address the root cause of your pain to promote healing and prevent re-injury for long-lasting pain relief. If you have arthritis, joint pain, sports injuries, or other conditions, their highly trained medical providers will develop a cutting-edge treatment plan tailored just for you with little to no downtime. DaVita Med Spa and Wellness can get you back to doing the things you love. Call DaVita Med Spa and Wellness today, spelled DVIDA. Call 984-333-1313. 984-333-1313. 984-333-1313.
Are your monthly bills keeping you up at night, wondering how you got so behind? Hey, I'm Roger Moore, CEO of Loan Pronto. I get it. Life is expensive now. Insurance, groceries, cars. And then there's the credit card debt with those obscene interest rates. It's time to regain your financial freedom. And that's what we offer at Loan Pronto, using the power of the equity in your home. We have multiple ways to get you the cash you need, and most clients close in 2 weeks or less, and many don't even require an appraisal. And listen, rates have been plummeting recently. We just locked a homeowner in with an APR in the low fives, saving her over $1,000 per month, and put $10,000 in her pocket. Life-changing money. Whether you're drowning in debt, have a nosebleed rate you got last year, need home improvements, or simply need cash in your pocket, we can help you accomplish this goal in record time. Call us today and get started with no hard credit pull, just a conversation. LoanPronto.com, 919-381-1760. LoanPronto.com. That's LoanPronto.com.
Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
Burns shot, they score! Burns puts it through. There was net front. Jankowski was out there. And the Hurricanes, of course, it's Mark Jankowski, his 8th in a Canes uniform. And it's a one-goal game here in Detroit.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. UNC fans, if you haven't heard the news, 247 Sports reporting, Ian Jackson, 5-star freshman from this past year, hitting the transfer portal. We'll break that down in depth in just a couple of minutes. That's early in the offseason, so there's plenty of time, but stakes are high as far as assembling a backcourt for UNC.
By the way, we did see Seth Trimble go into the portal last year, still came back to North Carolina.
So there's that possibility.
It's still there.
Not super likely.
I mean,
but
I wouldn't bank on it, but
especially when his role was reduced the way it was down the stretch, there probably takes some real promising going on. Some real. No, that's not what I actually meant. Really happening. Either way, we'll get to that. There's a lot to break down there as far as UNC and how they're handling the portal in the offseason. But before we do that, let's hit the ladder challenge. Dennis, I believe, did you win over the weekend?
I did.
All
I
right.
had the Canes and the Red Wings at plus 3.5 goals combined, or over 3.5 goals combined, I should say. Hit that, so I'm up to 1808.
So we could say it this way. Not exactly because of the Canes, but the win hit.
Yeah.
All right, what's your bet for tonight? How much money do you have?
Hey, they combined for 8 in that game. That's fine by me.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm going to go New York Rangers at home against the Tampa Bay Lightning tonight. Lightning are trying to get to the top spot in the Atlantic Division. Rangers are trying to get into the wild card. I expect some goals to be scored today. Over 3.5 goals scored between the Lightning and the Rangers. So my $18.08 will equal on a minus 650 will come out to be $20.86.
All right. The way my bet was exactly why we do the ladder challenge the way we do. I took Duke plus 7.5 over Houston. They were I think it was 5.5 point favorite. I teased it all the way back to 7.5 as an underdog, because we had, right, it's likely to win bets. I can tease it all the way back and still be within our minus 500 to minus 1,000 window. And despite Duke being upset and everybody going, whoa, mine was still a winner, even though I bet on Duke because I teased it all the way back. So still a win. Can't say I was right, but a win is a win because I had that safety net. Took my money up to $16.04, and I'm going similar tonight. National championship games going on. I'm taking Florida plus 12.5 versus Houston.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which is minus 920.
That's massive.
If Houston wins, I see it being low scoring and gritty and grimy and, right, kind of like if they win, it'll be by 3 or 5 or 7 and definitely not by double figures. So I have the cushion there. I'd expect Florida also, because of Florida's firepower, if they get down big, in desperation time, they'll be able to shoot themselves into a close game. So give me Florida plus 12.5. They are I believe, a 1.5 point favorite in this one. And I can tease it all the way down to 12.5 and still be within our parameters. So the minus 920 bet would be would take my 1604 up to 1778. So weird little honey hole I found with just teasing ridiculous spreads into college basketball games. So there you go. That's the ladder challenge. Early in April, but yeah, we're seven days in already, so the compound interest should start adding up. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Let's talk about Ian Jackson. Ian Jackson goes into the transfer portal from UNC as of earlier today, according to 247 Sports. This is, I can't say unexpected, right? Just because he wasn't in the portal, there was a point in time in the season last year where I started looking around going, I don't know if many players of his pedigree stay around for another season if their season goes the way it's going. The interesting part is Ian Jackson proved his bona fides this year and then had his role significantly reduced down the stretch, which makes him wildly attractive in the transfer portal because he proved his bona fides while also being a little probably not super excited about his role at UNC. That's a perfect storm for going into the portal, cashing out. He's going to be one of the most attractive guys in the portal. There's two ways to look at this. One is UNC's side. One is Ian Jackson's side. We'll start with UNC's side. The stakes are high for getting the backcourt correct. I just wrote down very quickly during the commercial break kind of a in-out maybe of the contributors from their past year and the guys that they've signed out of the portal. Out, R.J. Davis, graduation, can't do anything about that. Elliot Cadeau, Ian Jackson, all in the transfer portal. Jalen Washington in the transfer portal. Jalen Withers in graduation. That's a lot of out. That's a lot of outgoing production. In Jonathan Powell from West Virginia, shooter, young guy, and Henry Vasar, 7-footer from Arizona. The maybes become wildly important. And I hate that this is maybes. These are just players that are on UNC's roster, but they were also on UNC's roster last year. So until the window for them to enter the transfer portal closes, I guess they're maybes. Seth Trimble, Drake Powell, then Alan Lubin. Even if Trimble returns, there is a pretty gargantuan gap in the roster in initiator of the offense, in ball handler, in the 1 and the 2. Right? I like Trimble. We've liked him the last couple of years. Very good defensive player, very athletic, but isn't exactly your traditional 1. So looking at what UNC has here, Cadeau on the way out. Some people think he kind of, just outlived whatever was going to happen at UNC. I think it is a change of scenery for both, might do better. Ian Jackson, if he returned, I think his role was going to be pretty significant. For whatever reason, starting about mid-February, his role was just reduced. But if you look at that stretch from mid-December to midway through January, I'm not saying he was one of the best players at UNC. He was one of the best players in the ACC. Over that stretch, he was one of the best players in the country. And if you don't believe me, against this, what is this? A couple days before Christmas, December 21st, they faced number 18 in the country, UCLA. Quad 1. 76-74, a victory for UNC. They didn't have many victories over ranked opponents this year. What happened in that one? Ian Jackson was their best player. He had 24 points on 13 shots, which is absurd. Knocked down 3 threes, got to the free throw line, did a little bit of everything. 4 rebounds in the game. And that started a stretch of the game against UCLA. About a week later, they played Campbell. A couple days later, they played Louisville, another team that ended up being a very good opponent, lost the game, but Ian Jackson played well, 23 points in that one. Against Campbell, he had 26. At Notre Dame, the next game, he had 27. Versus SMU, another solid team in the ACC that they won by double figures, he had 18. At NC State, rivalry game, they won by 2. He had 21. Versus Cal, so that's at home, they won that one by 20-something. He had 20. That's a really good stretch of play. So it's not projection exclusively, right? A lot of times you see if somebody goes in the portal and they're plucked out of the portal by a big school, and the first thing they say is the former 5-star, that usually means they hadn't done much in college, right? The former 5-star is usually followed up by averaged 5 points and 3 rebounds. Ian Jackson, he did some things in college, right? He proved that the 5-star label, when he's at his best, is very, very well earned.
11.9 points per game this year.
I think that reflects how his role diminished, because I just reeled off 7 straight games with at least 18, between 18 and 27. So the dude is talented. I'll put it that way.
He can play. Call
the
it what
dude
it
is talented.
I can play.
6'4", handles the rock, explosive. I liked his defensive energy at times. That on the way out, in and of itself, is not any kind of huge demerit on UNC's roster. Okay? Good players leaving your roster, in and of itself, in a vacuum, becomes an issue. But nothing happens in a vacuum in college basketball anymore. Now let's look at it from kind of the replacement situation. Losing a player is only a problem if you don't bring in someone better. Or, Moneyball, 3 players who do that job better. Right? You lose a really good player, it's only an issue if you don't hit the portal and get somebody better out of it. What did we learn? Robert Wright, who we watched play for Baylor in the first 2 rounds of the NCAA tournament in person here in Raleigh. Really good player. He hit the portal for Baylor. Who is it? Xavier Lee from the Ivy League, another player that's really coveted on the transfer portal market and brings a skill set of more of a true 1. If UNC starts plucking these guys out, very quickly you'll be saying Elliot Cadeau who? Ian Jackson who? No disrespect to what they've done in UNC, but if you're looking towards the future, you won't miss them as much. Now, if you don't start plucking guys out of the portal and you don't have, some guys that can initiate the offense, I mean, you're going to catch yourself in a weird reversal of this past year. Because this past year, I actually liked a lot of what the perimeter could do for UNC. Little undersized when you have Cadeau and R.J. Davis out there, but R.J. Davis is defending ACC Player of the Year most of this year. But what they didn't have were the bigs to add into it. Now, with Vesar coming out, or coming over, I should say, from Arizona, 7-footer with a unique skill set, and you mix in Caleb Wilson, one of the number one ranked power forwards in the class, or taller, bigger forwards in the class, coming out of high school, you have a really exciting front court. As it stands right now, you'd be going like, all right, you got the bigs, but you need to get the perimeter put together. It's about putting together the complete and total roster. So I look at it like this, right? I need to see what they do next before we have any kind of hard and fast opinion. If you lose Cadeau, you lose Jackson to the portal, and you bring out better fits, even if not as talented, I'm fine with that, right? Then you start putting together a roster, you start putting together, the fits, and it's good. However, if you look at Trimble and go, we're going to put you on ball, and we're going to try to find somebody, and you start putting round pegs in square holes.
Round squares.
That's what I meant.
And the square pegs.
Yep. If you start kind of forcing things, then you're going to look around and go, well, you had two pretty good point guards on the roster last year, a combo guard in Ian Jackson, point guard in Elliot Cadeau. Maybe they would have worked out. If you go, I say all of that to say this. Nothing's done, right? The rosters in college basketball are ever-breathing, living organisms that are changing constantly. So there's nothing final. But if you go into this year underwhelmed with your perimeter, and you had Ian Jackson and Elliot Cadeau on your roster last year, you'll feel kind of bummed about it. If you go into the roster if you go into next season with a more complete roster, you've added some guys you're excited about on the perimeter, and you have this improved front court, I'm not going to fault you for that.
By the way, here a little nugget here as we wrap this up.
I like nuggets.
North Carolina's 5-star commitments this decade, so the class of 2020 up until present. Walker Kessler, transferred.
Yep.
Day'Ron Sharp, NBA. Caleb Love, transferred. Elliot Cadeau, transfer. Ian Jackson, transfer portal. Drake Powell, still at UNC.
For now, we'll see. Interesting. Walker Kessler, he barely played. That's a weird.
Yeah, that's the thing, because you had Baycott was here. I think Day'Ron Sharp was part of that same class.
Day'Ron Sharp's another interesting one.
Kessler's transferred to Auburn, played a year there, and now he's in the NBA, doing quite well for himself there.
Elliot Cadeau played 2 years.
Same with Caleb Love.
Yeah, Caleb Love played. Yeah, that's too small of a sample size for me to go like they can't keep 5 stars. Although
this is all recent though.
Yeah, man, it's all Hubert for the most part. It's a tough one. I don't know what I think about that yet. Maybe I'll come up with something more aggressive. UNC fans, how you feeling? This offseason is high stakes, man. How you feeling? Man. And it also goes to show this, and this is not UNC specific. It's about everything. Don't consider any player anything more than a 1-year contract. I don't care who it is. Nothing is more than a 1-year contract.
When I used to coach college lacrosse. When I recruited a player, I never officially counted them as a recruit until they were in a uniform on a game. Because there are multiple times where I had players that played in the fall. Then for example, I was coaching Division III, but a parent lost a job or something along those lines, or for some reason they didn't like school, got wrapped up in college life, and I didn't even have him in the spring, even though I had him in the fall, because lacrosse being a spring sport. It's like, wait, I had you for these practices, and until I saw you in a uniform on game day, I never counted you as a recruit.
I'm going to go – you sparked a memory. And this is funny, because I played college football in the time where transfer portal was not a thing. Right? It just didn't exist. If you wanted to transfer at the same level, if you didn't want to drop down a level, you had to sit out a year. And that was a year of eligibility. So if you had already used your red shirt, you just lost a year of playing. It was a much, much bigger conversation than just, do you want to leave? And I vividly remember, shout out to Anthony Walters, who played in the NFL for a long time. He was one of my vets, right? He was a upperclassman, All-American, and kind of took me under his wing at time. He was a safety / corner. I vividly remember looking at our freshman class. This is like probably halfway through training camp my freshman year, and saying something like, man, I can't wait to see what we're like as seniors. Right, because we were putting on weight. Some of us were getting reps with the ones, and it was just like, I can't wait. And he looked at me and he goes, you know what I said my freshman year? Same exact thing you're saying. And guess what? There's like 12 of us left. And I was like, what? He's like, things happen, right? Injuries, career ending. Some people, school this. Some people transfer that. Some people there's fall off. And this is pre-transfer portal. So this was people transferring and sitting out a year. This was people getting kicked out of school. This was people not keeping up with their grades. It was people that just never worked into the rotation and transferred down to Division II or Division III just to play. And he's like, there were 30 of us too. There's 12 of us now. 12 are pretty good. We're excited about it. We love our class. You better pick your friends as the ones that are going to stick it out. I can't imagine what that conversation would be like if the transfer portal exists. He would have been like, yeah, started with 30 of us too. There's 2 of us, right? Because the 12 that stayed were the 12 that played. The 12 that stayed were the 12 that, did well, right? And nowadays, if you do well, you're gone too because you're going to the transfer portal. It's not just the 12. You got to do like the perfect amount of well, but not too well to end up on the same team forever. And by the way, by the end of my freshman year, it was something like that, right? Some guys got kicked out. Some guys transferred. Some guys went to JUCO for a year and then up to bigger schools. Some guys did this. Some guys did that. And there was a handful of us that made it all the way through. And if you mix in with UNC and Duke and right the top of the ACC, handful of guys are like going pro, right? They played their whole career with you, but they still aren't making it 4 years. It's brutal. So look at your teams. Like I said, it's a living, breathing organism. How they are right now is not what they're going to be next week. It's not what they're going to be at the first tip-off for the first game. And they aren't going to be that later on. It's crazy. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Before we move on, and we will get to more of the Duke collapse versus Houston when we come back. I don't know why I mumbled through that. The Duke collapse versus Houston. Before we do that, here's Dennis Cox with some info for you.
Hey, folks, Dennis Cox here for my friends over at Law Tigers. It's that time of year. People are out there. The weather's better. Obviously not today. It's wet weather. But depending on where you are, though. A lot of wet weather. So, obviously, you're not going to see a lot of motorcycles out there on the road. Be safe when you're out there on the road. Obviously, when you hop on a motorcycle. But you're going to see a lot more motorcycles out there on the road, including myself. I'll be riding my motorcycle as often as possible now that the weather is as great as it is. But if you are, there's always a risk. If you are injured in a motorcycle accident, make sure you call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS even before you call your insurance company. Because here's the thing with insurance company, folks, and we've all dealt with insurance companies in some way, shape, or form. They want to give you the least amount possible. Law Tigers, they're riders too. They're part of that motorcycle riding community. They know what your bike is worth. They know what your gear is worth. They know what you're going through after an accident. That's why your case evaluation with Law Tigers, it's always free. They don't get paid until your case settles. Even if you got injured in a motorcycle accident, even several months ago, and the insurance company just isn't doing what they're supposed to do, you can still contact Law Tigers again at 1-800-LAW-TIGERS or go to lawtigers.com. Again, 1-800-LAW-TIGERS or lawtigers.com. Get in touch with them if you are injured in a motorcycle accident first. Law Tigers, North Carolina's motorcycle injury lawyers. Law Tigers is a network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers is not a law firm.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan, looks at the long-standing effects or the long-lasting effects. What might we be talking about for this Duke basketball team and the collapse versus Houston years into the future? Stick around.
Is your heating and air system ready for the changing season? Call Newcomb & Company to ensure your system is running at peak performance. As a Comfort Contract customer, you'll get priority service and a 15% discount on all HVAC and plumbing service calls and repairs. Newcomb & Company, your independent trained dealer, has proudly served our community for more than 70 years, delivering reliable comfort and peace of mind. Call 919-862-3000 or visit newcomencompany.com. Newcomen Company, your comfort is our business.
Heineken Silver is a world-class light beer with only 2.9 carbs and 95 calories. It keeps things light and refreshing all year round. It's like rain showing up to cool things off and then politely leaving. It's like cracking open a window and nailing the cross breeze. So, as we move into the warmer weather, grab a crisp and refreshing Heineken Silver and taste the difference. Only 2.9 carbs and 95 calories. Available at your local Heineken retailer or for delivery at Heineken.com/silver now. Must be 21 plus to purchase. Enjoy Heineken responsibly.
John is in a hot tub on his vacation. He earned 20,000 points by spending $2,000 with his Navy Federal Credit Union More Rewards card. To be clear, you don't have to vacation in a hot tub to redeem this offer. But John did, because the bubbles make him happy. Right now, you can earn 20,000 points when you spend $2,000 in the first 90 days. Offer ends January 1st, 2026. Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission. Navy Federal is insured by NCUA. Visit NavyFederal.org for details.
Now, in Sanford, the Chatley Marine Boat Show and Sale featuring Yamaha boats. With giant indoor showrooms and an on-site test lake, Chatley's the choice for your next Yamaha boat. Find a huge selection of 19 through 25-foot runabouts and the popular Wake Series boats. With special financing, discounts up to $6,000, and immediate delivery available, now is the time to get your new Yamaha at the best price. Hurry to the Chatley Marine Boat Show and Sale in Sanford. ChatleyBoats.com.
You ever try fixing your car and realize you're missing that one part? Yeah, been there. That's why eBay's my go-to. They've got millions of parts, guaranteed to fit. I'm talking brake pads for when yours have seen one too many miles of stop and go. Oil filters, cause you don't mess around with your engine care. Even got this cold air intake on my watch list. I might just go for it. To keep the ride cool and your DIY streak hot. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED because millions of men experience it, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Hims can help. Through Hims.com, you can access a full range of treatment options for ED through a 100% online process. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to Hims.com/joy. HIMS.com/JOY.
Adam Gold and I am in studio with my friend Ryan Monsine from the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. I have been doing the open house shows forever. We got one coming up.
Yeah, we do. This Saturday, we have Friday 8 to 5, Saturday 8 to 4. We'll have free ice cream. We'll have food. Come on out and put your name in for some of our drawings. We're giving away thousands and thousands of dollars away in prizes, and actually 2,000 square feet of hardy fiber cement siding.
That's a lot.
That is a lot of siding. So for someone lucky, they're going to have a really good prize to take on home. Bring out pictures of your projects. If you have something you're thinking about, take a picture, show it to us. We're happy to meet you and take a look at all our products with our sales representatives and manufacturers reps.
And the ice cream.
Your
dad always used to sell the ice cream. The array of products is awesome. 800-672-4348 this Friday and Saturday at the Aluminum Company of North Carolina on Hamlin Road in Durham.
Tugler in on Knippel, spins, goes up, got it blocked! Guess who? Cooper Flag threw it out of bounds!
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. That moment right there, when Cooper Flag hit the three and then volleyball swatted the block, I actually had a moment of, okay, Duke figure, all right.
Yeah, less than 2 minutes ago. Like,
that was pretty scary there, Duke. You guys probably got your heart rate going pretty good, but
good one, guys.
But all right, looks like you'll escape. They did not. They did not. Let me ask you this, Dennis, and this I didn't prep you for this, and I obviously prepped for a while, so I have a very detailed answer. The second half of the Final Four against Houston was a failure for Duke.
I say the last 10 minutes were, yeah.
Was the season a failure?
No.
No, with that much talent and how dominant they were and how they rolled through the ACC and how they rolled through the NCAA tournament to that point, there's no, like, looking back on this season, there will be no, man, that year wasn't what it should have been.
I think both things can be true. You can sit there and say, yes, they should have won a national championship, but to say it was a failure, that to me, getting to a Final Four in my mind is never a failure. Because it's still the NCAA tournament. It's a crapshoot. You really don't know what it is. Getting to a Final Four is never a failure in my mind.
There was a point probably 2/3 of the way through the season where it was obvious with the amount of talent Duke had on the roster that the only way it didn't end with some form of regret was going to be a national championship. That I don't think it makes this year a failure necessarily because the NCAA tournament is random enough that making a Final Four should always be celebrated. There's a reason why teams hang Final Four banners, right? Like put it up there, add the year, hang it forever, right? I'll be darned if I'm not disappointed that this team won't be in the conversation that it should be.
Oh, 100%. Again, both things can be true.
I think you look back on this season with so many shoulda, woulda, couldas, so many what ifs, which is a brutal way to look back on what should be a celebrated season, right? I'll even put it like this, and I'm not putting like last year's NC State team and this year's Duke team on the same level, but last year's NC State team was different. Like just celebrating, it was like starting at the Elite Eight. It was kind of like a success based on where they were to where they showed up. Whatever the mix, right? Our sister station, who's the home for NC State broadcasts. Right after the Final Four was over, they lost in the Final Four. They threw like a little parade for DJ Horn coming in here, right? And everybody lined the hallways, and everybody came in. Nobody is going to do that for Duke this year, right? It's going to be like more of a man, so close. Even though they're one of the statistical best teams the ACC has seen ever, right? The problem with this is that problem's the wrong word. History will not forget this year's Duke team, but it will be what I'm going to kind of say, like it will be remembered reluctantly. When the all-time great teams are debated, right? When it comes down to the all-time best Duke teams or the all-time best ACC teams, this team won't be brought up by people in the debate. Right, when you're at a bar with your buddies and there's hey, who's the best of this team? Nobody's going to go the 2024-2025 Duke team because the cover charge to get into those rooms is a national championship. Right? To get into those conversations, national championship. So somebody will bring up, the Hansbrough UNC team. Somebody will bring up the Leitner Duke team. Somebody will bring up, like those teams will be debated, right? And this team won't get brought up. But I'll tell you when this team will get brought up. When future great teams are on a run, right? When the next team that is threatening to enter that all-time great conversation is happening, there's going to be a lot of, this team is so good, they're doing blank, blank, blank for the first time since the 2024-2025 Duke Blue Devils with Cooper Flagg, right? When a team is that good in Ken Pom, offensive and defensive, There's going to be brought up like, this is the best team since da-da-da. The numbers are going to be impressive. But that's almost more frustrating. Do you know what happened a ton this year with the Duke team? For the first time since the 98-99 Duke Blue Devils led by Elton Brand. And then do you know how they were always identified? That got upset in the final. That finished one game short. That's how you get just brutally reminded of how you didn't finish for the rest of your life. Right? Oh, Cooper Flagg and this team are great. They're the most efficient team since that 98-99 Duke team who got upset in the final. And every time that happened, right, Elton Brand probably just trying to watch his alma mater, right? Just let me catch up on Duke. Let me grab the fam. We're going to go, sit in the theater room and watch the game. Why do they have to keep saying it like that? Why can't they just say the 98-99 Duke team? Why do they have to say the 98-99 Duke team that got upset out of nowhere was heavily favored in the final? That's where this team lives now. 10 years from now, there's going to be a really, really good team, right? And it could be a Duke team. It might be a UNC team. It could be Wake, anybody. And they're going to be saying, like, this team, what they're doing to the ACC, it's as dominant as any team since that 2024-2025 Duke team led by a Cooper Flagg who had a 14-point lead in the second half against Houston and couldn't hold on to it. That's your identity. And that is brutal. Brutal. Cooper Flagg in the postgame was asked to sum up the season for Duke. This is how the freshman did so.
I mean, it was an incredible season. Incredible people, incredible relationships that I'm going to have for the rest of my life. Didn't end the way we wanted it to, but still an incredible year.
Individually, Cooper Flagg, and I'm sure it kills him because by all accounts he's wildly competitive, and it's part of the reason he is who he is. He finishes not in the inner circle of all-time freshmen, right? He's not rubbing shoulders with Carmelo Anthony. Kevin Durant, yes. Right? And that is, you know, I used to say this all the time. Like, you could be in the 99th percentile of quarterbacks on planet Earth and not even sniff the NFL, right? And when I was at my peak, I was a average FCS quarterback. And if all else was irrelevant, like if you couldn't compare 1A to 1B, like 99% of people on the planet wouldn't have been able to differentiate me from Brett Favre. But the difference was gargantuan, right? The difference was a million miles between me and Brett Favre. I'm not hyping me up. I'm just saying the differences once you get to the greatest, they're massive, but they're small. They're oxymorons. The difference between Kevin Durant as an all-time freshman in college basketball and Carmelo Anthony, it's a big gap. Kevin Durant was a better individual statistician, right? He was a Wooden Award winner, just like Cooper Flagg. Carmelo Anthony, though, put up 33 and 14 or whatever he did in the Final Four, and Syracuse won it all. That's a different room. That's a different cover charge to get into that one. Was this season a failure for Duke? No, but it's not going to be remembered for the good. They will, right? And with time, right? Like you heard Cooper Flagg, like the relationships built and everything. Like, 20 years from now when Cooper Flagg is finishing up his NBA career and he's chatting with John Shire, they're not going to be talking about the loss. They'll be talking about the inside jokes and stuff. Like, that happens. But when college basketball history talks about this team, they're going to talk about how it didn't finish. And that's a rough legacy to live with, as great as it is. And it's only going to get worse if Kaman Malawash goes on to be, a two-time NBA Defensive Player of the Year, and if Con Knipple plays, 18 years in the league and makes, $500 million, and Cooper Flagg goes into the Hall of Fame, it's only gonna make this team look like, how in the world did they not win? And years past, what would have happened? They would have come back next year and tried to do it again. You'll get one shot at it now. You don't get that, let's run it back. There's a lot of disappointing. Virginia's national championship team. Mm-hmm. People remember Kyle Guy and Ty Jerome and these guys as champions. You know what else they were? The team that lost to UMBC, the very first 1 seed to lose to a 16 seed in history. But they brought it back the next year and won a national championship, so that's what they're remembered by.
I remember Will Wade in his introductory presser when we were talking to him in the media. He said UVA, when they won that national championship, was not Tony Bennett's best team.
No.
It wasn't. He's 100% right with that. But being consistent winner is the reason why they won that title. But that just goes to show you, your best team, your most talented team, doesn't always win. It's just a reality of one-and-done tournaments.
And it's part of the reason why we love it.
Yeah, it's exactly. This is the unpredictability. If this was a 7-game series, I would take Duke in 6.
I might go Duke in 5.
But
that means nothing.
Exactly.
They didn't do it. I do not want to sit here and do too much of I actually still think Duke's the best team in the country. I do. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to be champions.
I remember the Zion year, RJ Barrett, Cam Reddish, that was a phenomenal basketball team. Mm-hmm. They didn't even make it to the Final Four. They got knocked out in the Elite 8.
And almost knocked down the Sweet 16.
Yeah.
By a conference team. There's things going on. It's college basketball. Crazier things happened. Although I will say this. I'm not taking anything away. Florida and Houston are good. Like, that's a deserving. That's
1 seeds.
That's as much of sometimes you get to this point and you're like, I think this is like the 12th and the 14th best team in the country. Like, this is a championship. Don't get me wrong. No, these are two teams that could argue they're, top 2 or 3 in the country. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. We have the starting 5 coming up next. Some news and some greatness that needs to be honored. But first, Dennis Cox has something for you.
Hey, folks, Dennis Cox here for my friends over at Loan Pronto. People, interest rates have plummeted. It's time to give Loan Pronto a call now. If you're looking to get cash out of your home equity, refinance out of a high rate, or do a home improvement project, Loan Pronto can make it happen in just a matter of days, to be honest. Take advantage of this opportunity and get tens or even hundreds of thousands out of your home equity. Pay off all your credit cards. Pay off your car loans. The average homeowner cuts their monthly bills by $1,000. Get more info at loanpronto.com. Inflation and higher costs, they put a lot of people in a stressful financial situation. But if you own a home, there's a way out. Loan Pronto has multiple options that can help you get the financial freedom you deserve. Most homeowners get their cash in less than 2 weeks, and most don't even need an appraisal. Do the smart thing. Stop paying insane rates on those credit cards. Wipe them all out. Get a lower mortgage rate. Get some money for that home improvement project. It all starts by getting in contact with the experts at this. That's Loan Pronto. LoanPronto.com or call 919-381-1760. LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender. NMLS 1661781. Subject to lender approval. NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. The starting 5 is coming up next. You don't want to miss it. Stick around.
Golf's first major will be found on 99.9 The Fan. Listen all week long as we cover golf's lasting tradition, the Masters. Find out if Scotty Scheffler can run it back at Augusta or if a new champion emerges. Depend on us for constant leaderboard updates and every big moment through the presentation of the Champion's Jacket. Coverage of the Masters on 99.9 The Fan is teed up by Treyburn Country Club, the Triangle's golf escape.
Breaking news coming in from Bet365, and it's no surprise. Same game parlay from Bet365 just keeps getting better.
Well, it's even easier to make a bet. Choose from the most popular markets like hits, run line, totals, and home runs. So many to choose from.
Download the app, start building your bet, and see why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in North Carolina. T&Cs apply.
When it comes to restoring cars, Diego's got skills. And with Total Wireless in his corner, the whole world sees them. With the dual camera system on his new iPhone 13, he can take amazing car photos and post them on the fly with super fast 5G, and even turn this part-time hobby into a full-time gig. His claim to fame? Claiming iPhone 13 with 5G on us. Get iPhone 13 with 5G on us when you switch to the Total 5G Plus Unlimited 3-month plan. Total Wireless, in your corner. For a limited time while supplies last. Valid in store only. Requires support in and ID verification. Restrictions apply.
UB40. Live. The Relentless Tour 2025.
Stay close to me.
August 24th, Cocoa Booth Amphitheater. With special guest, The Fix. Get tickets now at boothamphitheater.com. UB40 in concert. Produced by Mammoth Live.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hoped it'd go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. 'Cause I never met a clog that was gonna unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
Hey girl, haven't seen you downtown lately.
Nope, sticking to our go-to places.
You mean like Sharky's?
Well, we love our Sharkies. Best wings and gumbo on the planet. But we never miss the $5 sangrias on Wednesdays at the new Salt and Lime. And Mexican pints on Thursdays for $3.
You know my boy loves the House of Hops. No better selection of craft beer in the state. Loves their specials, their food trucks, and you know I love my wine. They have a wonderful selection.
And have I told you about our new takeout spot, Che Empanadas? It's right next to Sharky's. They have 20 different types of authentic Argentinian empanadas, and they are incredible, especially the breakfast ones. You gotta try it.
Sounds perfect. And how awesome is it that they're so close to each other?
Yes.
Give them a try. Che Empanadas, House of Hops, Salt and Lime, and Sharky's. Just a hop, skip, and a jump from each other off Durham Road, Glenwood, and Grove Barton.
Cool cars, cool people, good times. America's favorite car show is back. The Good Guys 10th Griot's Garage North Carolina Nationals presented by Tremec. April 18th and 19th at the North Carolina State Fairgrounds in Raleigh. Cruise on out and see over 1,500 of the Southeast's finest hot rods, muscle cars, and trick trucks. Autocross racing, a Saturday night demolition derby, Fender Midway, live entertainment, and more. April 18th and 19th at the North Carolina State Fairgrounds. Details at good-guys.com.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
That's ritchielaw.com.
They score!
Broadcasting live from the Lenovo Studios. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. 99.9 The Fan. The Triangle Sports Leader.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm WRAL meteorologist Mike May. Showers and storms are in the forecast at least through 7 and 8 o'clock. Some could be strong, maybe severe. Showers continue at least through 2 a.m. with the low at 48. Sunshine and cooler for your Tuesday, the high at 59.
Weather update brought to you by Newcomb & Company, where your comfort is their business. Visit newcombandcompany.com. 5 o'clock check of your money. Dow Jones at the closing bell down 349 points to 37,965.
It's 5 o'clock. Time to serve up the biggest sports stories of the day. Here comes your starting five.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. It is time for the starting five. And just like we always do, let's start with number 5.
Count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Tar Heels the other way. Trimble in the left corner offensively. Gets into the paint, kicks it in the corner to Withers. Extra pass to an open Ian Jackson. Heels need it, and they get it for 3.
Ian Jackson, transfer portal, entry from UNC. Do you know what's the most frustrating part about the transfer portal? We don't know who made the decision, right? And by the way, I'm not saying like, somebody has to register. It's not like, a divorce where who filed. But like in the pros, somebody gets traded. We know the team traded him, right? If somebody demands a trade, we know the player's asking for a trade. If somebody leaves in free agency, we're like, all right, the player wanted to go somewhere else. The transfer portal, like, we don't know what conversations Ian Jackson and North Carolina had. Maybe Ian Jackson went to UNC, went to Hubert Davis, whoever he talks to, the GM, and said, like, I want to be back. And they said, well, listen, like, we could make you an offer, right? We could put together some NIL money, but it's not going to be market value because we need to spend it on other guys. And this is just, after a year here, we're not sure you're the fit. Could have been the opposite. Maybe Ian Jackson, let them know in a text like, hey, I'm out. Peace. We don't know. It's a mystery. We're never going to know. So it's really hard to, does UNC want him back? I think they do, obviously, because he's a decent player at the very minimum at this level. But depending on how much money was offered and what those conversations were, kind of show how realistic they were with expecting him back. And we won't get that, right? Elliot Cadeau, when he hit the transfer portal, there are all these rumors about money being asked and all of these things. I don't know how much money individual players are asking for. I don't know what the market value is, but I guarantee you UNC does. Right? You hear this all the time in the professional level, and we're going to have to start talking about colleges as if they are the professional level. And there's a court case kind of ruling that we're expecting here soon that'll just decide how professional. But that's a conversation for another day. It's here's what I mean. There are free agents that leave teams in the professional level all the time, who like technically received an offer from the team that they're leaving to stay, but their agent looked at him and went, "Oh, this they don't want you back, bud." Right? They're offering you a third of what you're worth. Right? And then the GM is spinning it as, "Well, we made an offer that we felt was fair market value." No, it wasn't. We don't know. So Ian Jackson is gone. If UNC initiated it, they better have a really good plan for what they're going to do at point guard and shooting guard the rest of this offseason, transfer portal or whatever. If Ian Jackson initiated it and UNC was hoping to have him back and thought he was coming back, UNC better scramble to have a good plan in place for shooting guard and point guard. Because right now it's looking like there's going to be a bit of a role reversal from last year. Granted, nothing's final, so right, it doesn't have to be the way it's going to be. But last year they didn't have the bigs to support what I thought was a pretty talented perimeter. Now it looks like they have the bigs from both, high school class coming up and transfer portal, but the perimeter is what's deteriorating with graduation and transfer portal. So got to put together the whole roster. Need a little bit of everything. Ian Jackson hitting the transfer portal, for those of you that didn't see it. 247 Sports, I believe, had it first.
ESPN also has it as well.
There you go. It's been confirmed multiple outlets. That's number 5. Let's hit number 4.
1, 2, 3, 4, all together.
And that's it. Connecticut is back on top for the 12th time in school history. The first since 2016. The Connecticut Huskies are national champions.
Shout out to the UConn Huskies women's basketball team.
Sarah Strong right here in North Carolina's own.
Darn right, Sarah Strong. Fuquay Varina's very own. Those of you that didn't watch the game, the highlights and everything post-game and recap seem to be focusing on Paige Beckers because of her career as a whole. The game, Sarah Strong was the best player out there. Freshman, number 1 recruit in the country at Fuquay Varina. 25, 15, and 4. 25 points, 15 rebounds, 4 steals. 4 rebounds. I'm going to start this over. 25 points, 15 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, and 3 blocks as UConn dominated South Carolina 82-59. If you want to know how dominant they were, Google or search on social media Dawn Staley right now, and you just get clips of the head coach of South Carolina screaming to nobody sitting on the bench. Just some like, ah! that you do when you're really frustrated and don't have anything you can do to fix it. So that was over the weekend. One national champion for college basketball was crowned. Tonight, Florida versus Houston. 2 number 1 seeds. Florida 1.5 point favorite. To be completely honest, I didn't think these were the 2 teams I didn't think either of them would be. I thought Auburn was going to win. I thought Duke was going to win. So take that for what it's worth, right? Take my opinion with a grain of salt.
I had Duke, Florida.
Florida looked really good. They didn't start really good. They got down a little bit, but they have a shooter by the name of Walter Clayton Jr. You're never out of it. The dude is a flamethrower. And just so everybody knows, Walter Clayton Jr. is an interesting transfer portal case. He started his career at Iona. His freshman year, he averaged, I think it was 7 points per game for Iona. When he hit the transfer portal after 2 years at Iona and ended up at Florida, he was the 69th highest ranked transfer in that transfer class. He is, undoubtedly to me, he's been one of, if not the best player in the tournament. That says something. For Houston, we just watched Houston. You know what they're going to try to do. Walter Clayton, you're going to have to play with, mud on the basketball because Houston's just going to muddy everything up. It is very much an aesthetically pleasing team and play style against an aesthetically not pleasing team and play style. I am also doing this in order to save a little bit of rooting interest. Kelvin Sampson, Pembroke, North Carolina native.
Laurenburg native, went to Pembroke.
Oh,
UNC
Pembroke High School. Sorry.
Pembroke. No, you went to UNC Pembroke.
Oh, he's not. I think he went to Pembroke High School, too. Am I making that up?
Maybe. I know he's from Laurenburg, though.
North Carolina native.
That's
we'll
right.
Go with that. See, we haven't been claiming him enough throughout the run, but now that he's our kind of only local chance to have a connection to the title winner, let's go, Kelvin Sampson.
That's all we have.
That's all we got, man. This We'll talk about it. That's number 4. Let's get to number 3. Alexander Ovechkin, the new goal record king of the NHL. Let's first of all give the proper hat tip to Ovi.
Stick taps.
Yeah, exactly. All of the things you need to do. Give the credit. More goals than anyone in NHL history. That's impressive. He obviously Kane's. You don't want to see him have success too much, but hey, good. Like you got to appreciate greatness, and it was cool. I stand by this. Every single time I do just a hint of research about Ovechkin breaking Gretzky's record, I leave impressed with Ovechkin, but way more impressed by Gretzky rather than Ovechkin. And I don't do that intentionally. Like, if you listen to the show, I am very much an appreciate greatness person, even when they're against the team that you're rooting for. Like, if it's a once-in-a-generation thing, if it's something that doesn't happen often, appreciate it. I can't help but leave more impressed with Gretzky. Do you know how many more shots on goal Alexander Ovechkin has than Wayne Gretzky?
A lot.
As of right now, he has one more goal than Wayne Gretzky. He has 1,764 more shots on goal. So he took 1,764 more shots on goal. He has one more goal than Wayne Gretzky. Alexander Ovechkin is number 1 in the history of the league in shots on goal by more than 600 shots on goal. So it would make sense that he's the number 1 goal scorer in the history of the game. Gretzky is 8th in shots on goal. He's 1 goal behind Ovi for second. Wait, I mean, I'm not breaking news here. Like, I'm not like, hey, let me be the first to say Wayne Gretzky was really good. I'm not doing that at all. But sometimes you just got to go remind yourself, man. Shout out to Ovi for breaking the record.
You want some interesting stats?
I would love interesting stats.
So Ovechkin, the game that they played on Sunday where he broke the record against the New York Islanders, that was his 1,487th game of his career. Wayne Gretzky played 1,487 games in his career and has 1 more goal than him. Also, interesting fact as well, is that in 1981, it was on April 6, 1980, either 1980 or 1981. But on April 6 is when Gordie Howe scored the final goal of his career and made it 891 of his career. 2004,
okay.
April 6th is when the Washington Capitals won the draft lottery on April 6th of 2004, which that draft happened to be held right here in Raleigh. And sure enough, on April 6th is the day that he breaks Gretzky's record.
Look at that.
Sports.
Small world.
Stats.
Or, yeah, it's a...
Numbers. I don't
even know what that is. Coincidence, but also kind of just like cosmic alignment.
Yeah. It's just all came together literally at the right time.
He scored a bunch of goals.
He scored a ton of goals in his career.
Also, Gretzky still has the lead when you include playoff goals. I'm just throwing that out there. Shout out to Alexander Ovechkin. I know I just sounded really bitter during that whole thing.
Kind of did.
But it's unintentional. I don't go into it with that desire. It just kind of happens. It just happens. That's number 3. Let's get to number 2.
Just the two. Back up for Gostisbehere. Working around. Morrow with a chance. Robina! He scores! Justin Robina! His first NHL goal. The Canes break the shutout. And for Robina, he'll keep that one forever.
The Canes lost both of their games since our last show. On Friday, they lost at Detroit 5-3. And then on Saturday at Boston 5-1. Kochetkov in net for Friday. Anderson in net for Saturday. You know, if your goal, Canes, was to make me nervous with, 6 games to play before the postseason, mission accomplished. Ha ha ha. Very funny. The injuries are starting to add up, but also the uncertainty of when guys will be returning is kind of just throwing a wrench in like what should be just the full steam ahead towards the postseason. Because like Carrier's now practicing again, Stahl practicing again, Svechnikov practicing again. So you wouldn't think you're super worried, except for, well, you're coming off of 2 not great games, and you just want to have the chemistry being built. And then Kokiniemi is out, and he didn't practice today, and he's somebody that's been pretty durable. So there's the goaltenders are not making my confidence build. But at the same time, there's plenty of, I don't know if plenty is the word, but there are games to get going in the right direction again. It's not convenient. That's what I'm saying. The way they played over the weekend, it's just not convenient. And actually, I'm gonna make this into a thing. Just because we talked about it earlier today. The Canes are significantly better at home than on the road from a record standpoint. Okay? If you look at it, at home, the Carolina Hurricanes are 38-1, meaning 30 wins, 8 losses, and then obviously the extra there going to overtime. Away, they are 16-18-3. That's a dramatic difference. Like a very dramatic difference. Like more wins at home than any team in the league type difference, and not anywhere close to tops in the league. You're below 500 on the road. So, you want as much home ice as you possibly can. So all right, you clinched. There's still something to play for here, and you have guys hurt, which is a bummer. If you played really well on the road, I would be like, all right, sit everybody, you're good. Not a huge deal, but because you don't, I'm going like, nah, get them back because you want to be home ice as much as possible. You know what? I'm going to self-diagnose real quick.
Okay.
Because I just heard like my heart rate getting up. I heard the ranting starting, and I went, whoa. This is what the postseason does to Canes fans. Over the last however many years, it does feel like, because you haven't gotten over the hump in this kind of Coors era, you want everything perfect going into the postseason, right? You want everybody healthy. You want everybody in top form. You want your goaltender seeing everything, because there's always been something to upend your postseason run over the last handful. Sometimes the goaltender, sometimes injuries. So you want everything perfect. It's probably time we acknowledge an NHL season is long and nobody's ever perfect going into the postseason. Right? And you can go crazy trying to make everything perfect or root for everything to be perfect. You just need to make the best of whatever situation you're put in. I don't know if I'm ever going to be 100% confident in these goaltenders going into the postseason. But guess what? You've won a lot of games with these goaltenders between the pipes. I don't know if I'm ever going to be happy unless everybody on the team is healthy. NHL, hockey, it's a contact sport. You're never going to be 100% hockey going into or 100% healthy going into the postseason. Would I have liked you to beat Boston at least? Yeah. But maybe I'm being too much of a perfectionist. You're going to drop some bad ones. Do it before the postseason starts. Almost locked into the Devils in the first round anyway. That's number 2. Let's hit number 1.
Go one! So down by 3.7 to go. James will be the inbounder. Runs the baseline. Launches down court for Cooper. And it's deflected. It came to Knipple. Out to Proctor. Deflected. Puts it up at the buzzer. It's no good. And it's Houston. That is on to the national title game.
Duke collapsed versus Houston. Had a lead of 14, had a lead of 9 at this time, and they had a lead of 6 with 30-some seconds left, and it all came crumbling down. Is that not the most apt and appropriate finish to an ACC basketball season that was 2024-2025? Fewest teams in the history of the league to make it to the round of 32 since they expanded the tournament to the round of 32. Just one team made it. That one team, though, was looking like they were going to kind of save a really bad season for the ACC with something big and dramatic like a national championship. And what happens? Well, they're cruising towards that national champion, towards that ring. They're cruising. They're up double digits against a team that's not known for their offensive outpouring, right? So you'd think even if Houston caught a little bit of fire, you'd be okay. And Duke's defense would be able to just hold on, and all of this happens. And then the collapse and the jokes and everything else happen, and now you are where you are. And you know what's crazy? You know what's hilarious? It is exactly what common sense, like if something was going to do Duke in this year, it's exactly what like number 1 draft pick would have been at the beginning of the year. Matter of fact, I bet if you went back, and I didn't do this and I should have, if you went back and we did our ACC cons and cons, right? What are you most confident about? What are you most concerned about for the Duke Blue Devils, right? We did it for all the teams. But if you went to Duke, I almost guarantee the first couple of months, our concerns for Duke, the things that were right there on the surface at the beginning of the year, were the things that ended up doing them in. Right? They were right there the whole time. Clutch end-of-game situations. How do they perform in clutch, close game, end-of-game situations? Early in the year, they lost to Kansas and Kentucky. What did they need to do? They needed to execute down the stretch, just one possession at a time. What couldn't they do? That. Look at the close games they did win, right? The UNC game in the ACC tournament, right? We're sitting there not 20 feet from where some of the most important plays happened. What did we see? We saw Duke have a big lead, UNC come storming back, and what was the thing that saved Duke? Jalen Withers' lane violation. It's hard to say Duke caused that error, right? That was they escaped because of that. All 4 losses for Duke, 2 points or less, they were trailing, had the ball in 15 seconds or less on the clock. Turns out, it's really difficult to get a young team. Like, even if you can make it look good for most games, it's really hard to get a team where nobody played together last year to when the pressure gets absolutely the highest to execute well. And I kind of thought they had pulled it off, but it turns out they didn't.
So if you look at some recent games for Duke, closing out the season, again, these are all postseason games, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
The UNC game that you mentioned, the Jalen Withers lane violation, Duke only had 1 field goal in the final 5 minutes and had none over the last 3 minutes and 24 seconds. Against Louisville in the ACC championship game, no field goals over the last 5 minutes of the game. Against Arizona in the last 10 minutes of the game, they only made 3 field goals. Now, granted, they got to the line a bunch because Arizona fouling and also they were just attacking the rim, but still only 3 field goals made during that stretch as well. They had to make their living at the line. Duke in that game against Houston was not getting to the line because they weren't attacking the rim. They tried to take the air out of the ball with 9 minutes left, and it just didn't work. And especially you saw late in the game, they weren't attacking the rim. They just simply weren't.
And we played the audio earlier. We don't have time to play it here, where John Shire focused mostly on the defense and not getting the stops they needed. Their defense is that kind of good, so they've been able to kind of take their foot off the gas offensively and run out the clock because their defense was getting so many stops. Houston, by the way, Houston hit some tough shots. Some shots that I don't think they hit many times if you give them, if you play it out that way exactly. Some of those shots not easy. Duke probably should have kept the gas floored a bit longer. And that's one that John Shire is going to learn from. Don't take your foot off the gas, especially when you're in like a Lamborghini. Why are you trying to coast Cooper Flagg to the finish line? Keep that pedal to the floor and let him and Knipple and those guys really, run the offense. Don't depend on the defense unless you need to. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Before we move on, and we do need numbers game contestants, have some cool tickets that you can possibly win. Before we do that, here's Dennis Cox.
Hey, folks, Dennis Cox here for my friends over at Law Tigers. By the way, thanks to each and every one of you that signed up and registered to win the custom Caniacs motorcycle. The deadline of that was yesterday, so I hope you got your registration in. So congrats to all you that registered, and also congrats to one lucky person that we'll find out on Sunday who won that custom Caniacs motorcycle that the Tobacco Road Harley-Davidson, Shiny Side Paint, Law Tigers, and Carolina Hurricanes all teamed up together to give to a lucky fan. But it is motorcycle riding season. Well, maybe not on a day like today because the weather kind of stinks. But you're going to see a lot more motorcycles out there on the road. I know a lot of people out there that are motorcycle riders, including myself. So if you are getting on the road for the first time, maybe since, this past fall, getting back on the motorcycle, make sure your bike is in good working shape. Make sure you get that thing tested out just to make sure everything's in proper working order. Make sure the battery's in good shape, the tires, everything, because the last thing you want to do is put yourself in an even more vulnerable position when you're out there on the road on your motorcycle. It's difficult enough as is, and this is a caution to everyone out there that's on the road, even driving right now. Make sure you are aware of everyone that's in your surroundings, including motorcycle riders, because guess what? You're in a pretty difficult position if you are a motorcycle rider and people don't see you. It's a risk that happens out there. And if you're injured in a motorcycle accident, make sure you call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS before you call your insurance company. Insurance companies want to pay the least amount possible. Law Tigers, they're riders too. They know what your bike is worth. They know what your gear is worth. They know what you're going through after an accident. That's why your case evaluation with them is always free, and they do not get paid until your case settles. Law Tigers, 1-800-LAW-TIGERS is the number to call. Law Tigers, North Carolina's motorcycle injury lawyers. Law Tigers is a network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers is not a law firm.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly here on 99.9 The Fan needs some numbers game contestants. The prize for today is tickets to the Good Guys 10th Griots Garage at the NC State Fairgrounds, April 18th and 19th. So if you want to celebrate Easter weekend at America's favorite car show, go ahead and call in right now, or to play the numbers game. You also want to win the numbers game. You got to win to get the tickets. The number to call is 919-860-5326. You can check out over 1,500 of the Southeast's coolest hot rods, muscle cars, trick trucks, and more. But you do have to win. So call in now to play the numbers game. 919-860-5326. Numbers game coming up next.
We're in the middle of the madness.
Canales open. Good again.
From the first four to the national championship.
Now Cooper across midcourt. On the drive, takes it inside and throws it down with two hands.
All the hoops action will be heard here.
It's been a special ride that ended in a heartbreaking way.
The road to San Antonio is driven by Fox and Bailey Watch Shop, Fairway Green, and First Horizon Bank. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports leader.
It's bow time. Yep, it's eating time again. Now you could unload groceries, chop, dice, mince, preheat, heat, slap around the smoke detector, and then celebrate with a big old pile of dishes. But if you're tired of cooking, or tired of sorta cooking, it's time to feed the whole family with Bojangles Fried Chicken Family Meal. With Bojangles' famous chicken, fixins, biscuits, and tea, you can forget the cookbook and spend some well-earned quality time with a delicious dinner from Bojangles. It's bow time.
There's no time like bow time. Time to stop whatever you're doing for some of that bodacious Bojangles flavor. Satisfy your craving for flavor and your passion for boneless chicken with Bojangles 4-piece Supremes Dinner. 4 perfectly seasoned, Cajun-fried, whole breast tenderloin fillets, choice of fixin', a made-from-scratch buttermilk biscuit, and Bojangles' legendary iced tea. When you're hungry for flavor and value, it's bow time.
You know what you deserve? The joy of a remote start. Sound Station and Security can install remote start systems in your car. Start your car from inside your house while you eat breakfast, and it's all toasty warm by the time you get inside. Or on those hot summer days that are sure to come, start your car and get the air conditioning running so you don't sweat. A remote start system is an awesome treat, and you can get it at Sound Station and Security with 2 locations in downtown Smithfield and on Glenwood Avenue in Raleigh. Online at myhotsound.com.
Now in Sanford, the Chatley Marine Boat Show and Sale featuring Yamaha Wave Runners with giant indoor showrooms and an on-site test lake. Chatley's the choice for your next Yamaha Wave Runner. Find a large selection of Yamaha VX, FX, GP, and Wave Blaster models. With special financing, huge discounts, and immediate delivery available, now is the time to get your new Yamaha Wave Runner at the best price. Hurry on in to the Chatley Marine Boat Show and Sale, going on now in Sanford. ChatleyBoats.com.
Are you a small business owner who needs immediate cash flow? At Swish Funding, we have flexible funding options from $25,000 to $2 million. For the best rates and terms for your business, just one application to Swish Funding gives you access to our entire network of funders, with cash in your account in as little as 24 hours. To qualify, you must be in business for at least 1 year with monthly revenue of $50,000. Apply at swishradio.com and use code GROW. Swishradio.com, code GROW.
Hey friends, Paul Lyhander from 99.9 The Fan for FanDuel. Only 2 teams remain, and you can still get in on the biggest game of the season with FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 extra bucks to bet on everything from team totals to point spreads and so much more. The tournament action is certainly at its peak, and FanDuel gives you all the ways to bet and all the excitement you can handle. So head on over to FanDuel.com/Paul. That's FanDuel.com/Paul, Paul, and get in on the biggest college hoops action of the year with America's #1 sportsbook. 21 plus and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
At Bailey's, love not only sparkles, but it also gives back. Hi, I'm Marcy Bailey. Yes, we have high-quality certified diamonds that fit your budget. But did you know that when you say I do with an engagement ring from Bailey's, a donation is made to the food bank to help feed a local family of 4 for an entire month? Celebrate your love with Bailey's, where every diamond helps create a brighter future. Bailey's Fine Jewelry, voted the best place to buy your diamond.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. It is time to play the numbers game. Jaden and Carrie and Ryan in Wake Forest. You are the contestants. The winner will get to celebrate Easter weekend at America's favorite car show. A pair of tickets to the Good Guys 1030's Garage at the NC State Fairgrounds for April 18th and 19th on the line. As always, we ask a question. You answer. Dennis picks his favorite answer. That person gets to go first. Jaden and Carrie, are you there?
Yes.
All right, Jaden, the question for you is, what was the highlight of your past weekend? But because we are a sports show, it has to be something sports related.
I'm going to say we saw some good basketball this weekend in the college bracket.
All right. Dennis, any follow-ups?
Nope.
All right.
No follow-ups here.
Ryan in Wake Forest, you are up next. Are you there, and are you ready?
Yes, sir, I am.
All right, same question to you. What was the highlight of your past weekend? But because we're a sports show, make it something sports related.
Yeah, I would say similar to Jaden's. Well, I actually fell asleep when Duke was up 10 or 12 or whatever it was. Then I woke up and saw that they had lost. So, I mean, I was just shocked. I was pulling for Duke, but I think that was pretty crazy.
All right. Dennis, which of those answers is your favorite?
Well, I'm going to go with Jaden because Ryan said, yeah, just like Jaden.
Right.
So I'm going to go with Jaden on this one. But how could you fall asleep during that?
That is definitely, like, if you fell asleep and then woke up, like just turned the TV off, went to bed, woke up the next day, you probably felt like you were in the Twilight Zone. Everybody's talking about this collapse. Whoa. What happened? They were winning. They were dominating. That means Jaden and Carrie gets to go first, right?
That's correct.
Jaden, are you ready to pick a category?
Yes, sir.
All right. The categories are NFL Jasons. These are all players with the first name Jason. NFL players that threw a touchdown but were not listed as quarterbacks. NBA players that are active and have scored 50 or more points in multiple games. Or NHL players, Hurricanes throughout history.
I'm going to go with NHL Hurricanes.
All right. I will give you the team and the player. You give me the jersey number as quickly as you can. 30 seconds on the clock. One pass if you need it. Any questions before we get started?
No.
All right. Your time will start when you hear the horn. Jackson Blake, Carolina Hurricanes.
53.
Correct. Tyson Jost, Carolina Hurricanes.
27.
Correct. Josef Vasicek, Carolina Hurricanes.
Pass.
Saku Menelainen, Carolina Hurricanes.
19.
Incorrect. Josef Vasicek, Carolina Hurricanes.
25.
Incorrect. Brian Allen, Carolina Hurricanes. Brian Allen, Carolina Hurricanes.
13.
Incorrect. Saku Menelainen, Carolina Hurricanes.
82.
Incorrect. Joseph. Sorry for stumbling through that one. Menelainen. Just hard to say, and it doesn't look the way it is. How many did you end up getting, Dennis? 2. You ended up getting 2 with Blake and Jost. Vasicek was 63. Menelainen, I can say it now, was 8. That's what we were looking for. And Brian Allen, number 5. That's the answers. But you did get 2. Stay on the line. We'll see if it holds up, all right? All right. Ryan in Wake Forest, are you ready to rock?
I am. Do you mind repeating those categories for me, though?
Of course. The categories remaining for you to choose from are NFL Jasons, all first name Jason, NFL players that have thrown a touchdown but were not listed as a quarterback when they did so, or NBA players that are all active and have scored 50 or more in multiple games.
Initially I wanted to go with the second one, but I think I'm going to go with the active NBA players with 50-point games.
All right. I will give you the team and the player. Give me the jersey number as quickly as you can. 30 seconds on the clock. 1 pass if you need it. You need at least 3 for the victory. Any questions before we get started?
Nope. Good to go.
All right. Your time will start when you hear the horn. Jalen Brunson, New York Knicks.
11.
Correct. Tyrese Maxey, Philadelphia 76ers.
0.
Correct. Jamal Murray, Denver Nuggets.
11.
Incorrect. Luka Doncic, Los Angeles Lakers.
77.
Correct. Damian Lillard, Milwaukee Bucks.
0.
Correct. Jamal Murray, Denver Nuggets.
15.
Incorrect. Jamal Murray, Denver Nuggets.
5.
Incorrect. Jamal Murray, Denver Nuggets. Sorry, we had none to pass 2. That was the only one left. You did win, though. You got 4. So congratulations on that one. You get the Good Guys 10th Griot's Garage tickets. For those of you playing at home,
thank you.
For those of you playing at home, we were looking for 27 for Jamal Murray. 27. But you got Brunson, you got Max, you got Doncic, you got Lillard. That was enough. So appreciate you for playing. Go ahead and stay on the line. Dennis has some info he needs to grab from you.
All righty. Thank you both very much.
Thank you.
I thought he was going to get it.
I thought he was
going to get the 5.
For those of you wondering at home, Dame Lillard has 15 50-point games. Luka has 7, Murray 2, Maxey 3, and Brunson 3. That's a ton of 50-point games for Lillard. And I'll just say it. Anytime I stumble through saying someone's name and then that person loses, I get very bummed out. So I apologize to the first contestant there. Not happy about it. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Before we move on, Tim Donnelly here for Maynard Service Company. The best way I can describe Maynard. Maynard does heating, cooling, plumbing, electric. They do a little bit of everything, or actually a lot of bit of everything, not a little. They do everything when it comes to keeping your house well-maintained and fixing those problems when they occur. They want to be what used to be like the handyman, right? I talk about this. My grandmother had a guy, right? And if the heater didn't work, she called him, right? And it was someone she had a relationship with. If there was a leak, she called him, and she trusted him, and she knew she wouldn't be taken advantage of. Maynard is kind of the 2025 version of that. Right? I don't know if you've looked inside your like a tankless water heater or something like that. It looks like a computer. It's really hard to have one person that can handle electric and plumbing and cooling and heating like they did back in the day. Things have just gotten more advanced. But Maynard Service Company, in total, can be the one you call. No matter what happens, no matter what's going on with your house, call Maynard Service Company. They'll have a friendly voice, somebody that knows your house, and they can send an expert in that particular field out to your house. It's kind of the new-aged, community-based service company. Maynard Service Company. Check them out. Give them a call, 919-361-0993, or keep this number around, right, for when disaster strikes, when your air conditioning goes out and it's 100 degrees outside, when your house starts leaking in the middle of a storm, whatever it is. Keep this number on hand. 24/7 service all across the triangle. 919-361-0993. 919-361-0993. Or check out their website, MaynardServices.com. That's MAYNOR Services.com. MaynardServices.com. We'll be back with some good news for NC State basketball fans. Will Wade fulfilling his promises already? Stick around.
This is Gordon Miller with Miller Lending and Carey, and I have a question. When it comes time to buy a house, do you just look at one? Probably not. So when it comes time to working with a lender, multiple surveys have shown that borrowers who requested multiple quotes were far more likely to receive better terms when compared to those who likely only spoke to one. So why Miller Lending? As a mortgage broker, we're not limited to only one lender, as is the case with your bank. We act as more of a one-stop shop. With access to over 24 lenders, it's not uncommon to receive multiple bids for your mortgage. Recently, we've saved numerous homeowners upwards of $10,000 or more in closing costs for the same interest rate they'd been quoted. Now, while you may think all lenders are the same, they aren't. So whether it's a no closing cost purchase, our highly competitive FHA, VA, or jumbo rate, see why thousands of satisfied clients have chosen Miller Lending as their lender for life. 919-447-3377, or simply apply online at millerlending.com. Miller Lending is an equal housing lender and MLS number 250-2146.
Everyone deserves a fast and reliable connection. One that helps better their everyday through the things they value most. Friends and family, education and career. A connection that opens pathways to opportunity and builds roads to a better future. At Spectrum, we're committed to delivering just that every single day. Because with the right connection, anything is possible. That's Life Unlimited. That's Spectrum.
O'Reilly! Check engine, ABS, or maintenance light on? Take the guesswork out of your warning lights with O'Reilly Veriscan. The service is free and provides a report with solutions verified by ASE certified master technicians. And if you need help, we could recommend a shop for you. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. Confidence is knowing you're ready to handle whatever comes your way. That's what it feels like to take on your workday with Cintas. They make sure your AEDs are up to date, your fire extinguishers are tested and inspected, your floor mats are cleaned and delivered, and your workwear looks good, feels good, and is freshly laundered with the Cintas Apparel Plus program. So are you ready to take on today? Visit Cintas.com. And get ready for the workday.
Progressive Home Quote Explorer lets you easily compare rates, so shopping for insurance might be the easiest part of owning a home. Definitely easier than this.
Psst, honey. Honey! What? Shh, there's a salesman walking up the driveway.
Oh no, he's got a clipboard.
What do we do?
Get down.
Down?
On the floor, you...
Shoot, did he see us?
Why are you breathing so loud?
Home ownership isn't easy, but with Progressive's Home Quote Explorer, shopping for home insurance is. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
You know what's better than a limited time deal? An unlimited time deal. That's why the Wendy's $5 Biggie Bag with a Junior Bacon Cheeseburger, 4-piece nugs, Junior Hot and Crispy Fries, and small soft drink is available all the time. Because the best time for fresh, never frozen beef and Applewood smoked bacon is all the time. Duh. I feel like I'm repeating myself a lot. For the best deal of all time, gotta be Wendy's.
Unlimited time does not mean forever. U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska, Hawaii, and California and via third-party delivery. Fresh beef available in the contiguous U.S., Alaska, and Canada.
Who's cutting down the nets this year? Get in on all the tournament action at ESPN Bet Sportsbook. Go from tracking the latest upsets to placing bets in just a few taps. Right now, new customers can get $100 in bonus bets when you make your first $10 wager. Download the ESPN Bet Sportsbook app and sign up with promo code JQ to get started today. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details. Offer not available in New York.
Stitches, itches, aches, and pains. Strep and sinus, minor sprains. Pink eye, earaches, fever, flu. Virtual visits, physicals too. At WakeMed MyCare 365, we offer both walk-in primary care and urgent care. So find the MyCare location nearest you at wakemed.org. Walk right in, and for just about anything from asthma, rashes, and examinations to x-rays, labs, and vaccinations, make MyCare your care.
Deep River wants you to come fight the clay invasion. Come shoot down clay targets at Deep River Sporting Clays and Shooting School. Visit deepriversportingclays.com.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Dennis, how was Dreamville over the weekend?
Oh, it was awesome. was absolutely awesome. It was a great time.
Any more details to supply?
In what way?
I don't know. So for those of us that weren't there, let us live vicariously through you. What was it like? Give us a highlight.
It was to me, one thing I noticed was the artists that came up about 20, 25 years ago, maybe a little bit before that, their stage presence was much different than I say new artists, because in my mind, this is my eyes. Artists of that generation 20, 25 years ago, they had to go to college towns. They had to go on radio shows. They really had to be out there promoting. And if they did not put on a good live show, they knew their album wasn't going to sell. They weren't going to get radio spins. And every aspect of a dream that they had was going to be completely gone. So they had to put on great live shows. And that's something that you saw when big timers and Lil Wayne, when some of these guys that step on stage, they command the stage in such a way that's different. Yes, these guys put out massive hits, but they had to do great live performances for so long in order to be able to get their music out in front of different people. So that's something that I noticed. It's the command on stage by some of these older artists was so much different, and their presence and their energy was a lot different than some of the younger artists. Not saying the younger artists were bad, it's just the stage presence was a lot different. But I'm not going to lie, the young Dennis that got to hear, all the Cash Money guys back together, got to see Ludacris perform live. Like, that was a lot of fun. But but even hearing younger artists like Coco Jones is only 27 years old, got to hear her for the first time. She was fantastic. Ari Lennox, I thought, was absolutely fantastic. Overall, the vibes and everything at Dreamville are great because it's such a great community atmosphere that's there. Everyone's there enjoying themselves, having a good time. No real, you don't see scuffles or anyone kind of back talking to each other, none of that kind of stuff. Everyone really just had a great time. It really is it's a great vibe, a lot of love, a lot of beauty, a lot of great art.
At the risk of going full old man yelling at clouds.
Okay.
Dave Grohl has talked about this, and it's going to relate back to what we're talking about with Will Wade and college basketball.
Mm-hmm.
That back in the day, in order to make it as a musician, you had to get in a van and you had to go to small venues across the country. And for a large part of it, you stunk, right? You weren't that good, but you got, 1% better every week. And then eventually, right, you were in a bar and you were playing and there was a record executive and, I like what you do. Here's my card. And it pops and then it breaks. Nowadays, right, you can have one good cover song. It goes viral. And now all of a sudden you're on a record deal and you don't even know if you're good or not, right? You just knew you had one good cover song. Basketball, I think, is getting similar in that if you have a great tournament as a sixth grader, you become the number one ranked sixth grader in the world. And then if you can almost hide and be a top 25 recruit in the country, right? You don't have to go out there and prove yourself against the best. You don't have to go attack the other. The stories of the Tracy McGrady's and stuff, kind of popping in the recruiting world, that you had to go to ABCD camp your junior or senior year, and you had to seek out the number one recruit in the country, and you had to beat them pretty handily in a game, right? You had to guard them, and you had to trash them, whoever was the best at your position. And if you were the number one recruit in the country, you got challenged by everyone that wanted your spot. There was none of this kind of over-analyzing of 247 rankings, right? Because of that, I think it's the 5 stars you recruit, you have to pick the right 5 stars. The ones that'll work with your program, the ones that are battle-tested. Will Wade got a 5-star over the weekend. Will Wade is making good on his promises. Matthew Abel signed with NC State over the weekend, listed as a 6'5", 5-star shooting guard from Fort Lauderdale on 247 Sports. I haven't dug into the film yet, but, we'll watch it at some point. 247 Sports has Abel as the 4th highest ranked high school recruit to sign with NC State in 247's history. Highest ranked recruit since Dennis Smith Jr. in the class of 2016. Another way to put it is, it took Will Wade less than a month to sign a recruit that is higher rated than any and every recruit of Kevin Keatts' 8 years in Raleigh. By the way, by a picture that's going around on social media, which is always true, it appears as if Abel was in Raleigh at the Flying Biscuit with Will Wade within 4 days of Will Wade's introductory press conference. That's how quickly a 5-star was on campus, and that's how quickly a 5-star committed and signed. This is a big win for NC State this offseason. Now you have to hope he's the right 5-star, right? You have to hope he's battle-tested. You have to hope he's ready to show up and turn a program around. But just like the first big win under a new coach on the court, this gives the fans reasons to buy in, right? I talk about every time a new coach gets that first big win as a coach, you turn to the players and you go, see, if you do what I ask, we'll win big games, right? Yeah, I asked you to put in a ton of work in conditioning. I asked you to buy in fully to my system. I asked you to work hard in the weight room. Well, guess what? That's the fruits of your labor. Big win. This is similar, right? Yeah, I asked NC State to give me more money for NIL and for staffing. I asked the fans to donate to the collective and the NIL stuff. And I asked you to do all of this. This is the proof that it works. You get higher ranked recruits than you've had in a decade. To pair with the players we convinced to return, to the transfers we're getting from McNeese State and all of this, that's what it is. When people are excited, you need to give them reasons to stay excited, right? And the goal, if you're a college basketball staff that's trying to raise money, is these victories come with surges, right? You hire Will Wade, boom, surge for all the donations and all the booster money. You get a transfer from McNeese State, and everyone's like, all right, cool, he's building something here. A little bit more of a boost. You get a 5-star, bigger boost, right? And then it becomes that track where good thing leads to money being given. The money, you spend it right, leads to good thing, leads to more money being given, leads to more good things, leads to more money, and then it just, once you get the hamster wheel rolling downhill, you cruise. Matthew Abel is as good a recruit as I say as good of a recruit, because we don't know how good of a college basketball player he is. We know the potential. He's as good of a recruit as pretty much anybody that's entered the NC State basketball program out of high school. That's pretty darn impressive. And to do it that quickly, I think it will lead to what I just said, right? More money being given, more commitment, more buy-in, and then we'll all see how it comes together on the court this upcoming season, right? Because that's the other place where you got to show the proof. Nothing gets fans more excited than a top recruit signing with your program. Nothing gets a team or a fan base more bummed than having a wildly talented roster that doesn't win. So stakes are getting higher, but they should be getting higher.
People get excited about potential.
They do.
People get steamed up about potential. That's why everyone gets excited about recruits, who's coming out of the transfer portal, drafts, whatever it might be, free agency. Everyone's excited about potential. So, we could do this.
It's always funny. It's like a starting shooting guard hits the portal, and you bring in a recruit. And you hope that your recruit turns into I don't know, they could be a starting shooting guard. It's like, wait a second here, right? It's like, do you want a boat or this mystery box? I want the mystery box. The mystery box might be a boat. It's like, wait a second. I think that's a Family Guy joke. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. No overdrive today.
It sounds like a Family Guy joke.
No overdrive today because we're going straight to national championship coverage. Florida, Houston. One will remain. It's a long pregame show, but it's starting right up here in a couple minutes here on 99.9 The Fan. So enjoy all the pomp and circumstance that comes with a national championship. Ends with one shining moment, by the way. Subscribe to our YouTube, 99.9 The Fan. We'll be back tomorrow for another show. Until then, enjoy a little throwback hip-hop, and we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great night.
We're in the middle of the madness.
Knipples open. Good again.
From the first four to the national championship.
Now Cooper across midcourt. On the drive, takes it inside. And throws it down with two hands.
All the hoops action will be heard